I think the development of full artificial intelligence could spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object, and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody is checking it out.
It was a rocket or whatever, but incredibly fast, opposite direction. It was too fast to be an airplane.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
You said there's lights in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
911, what's your emergency? I need help, please help me!
Aliens won't let it happen. You know, that's what we're instructed to say.
Roger, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 10, 9, 7,
self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio.
Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness. Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, DLive, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting, and of course, 88.4 FM, Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight's got another weird one for you. As usual, the bleeding edge of science and discovery is tantalizing. It makes us wonder what we really know about the universe around us. And of course, that includes not just the skies. That includes the earth beneath our feet. And that's the point tonight. We're going to go to the mountains of madness a little bit, a little Lovecraftian horror, because, well, why not? And we'll begin, of course, with the science as part of it. And all the disclaimers do apply. Okay, I'm not a scientist. This is not science. This is not fact or reality or anything else. It's simply wild speculation on possibilities and all the rest. So if you're here for truth, you're in the wrong place. Okay, I just want to reiterate that again and again and again. I'm not a whistleblower. I'm not a magician. I'm not a wizard. I'm just a guy that likes wild ideas and likes to talk to great people on the internet, and here we are doing exactly that. So we'll begin here. We'll start with this this wild. You've probably seen this going around. There's a lot happening in terms of the Anita probe that's happening up in down in Antarctica, which is wild. And we'll start with the debrief article, debrief.com or thedebrief.org. And we'll begin, and yeah, there we go. I'll just read the headline. Antarctica scientists don't actually have an explanation for strange radio pulses coming from below the ice. I like this. This starts out pretty well already. This is straight from the article. Penn State scientists using balloon-mounted cosmic particle detectors to analyze radio waves from cosmic rays on the remote continent of Antarctica report the anomalous detection of strange radio pulses that seem to originate from below the ice. Now think about what that means for just a moment, and it's complicated, and it does really kind of hint at maybe some unknown science as yet. And that's the cool part of this to me, as usual, right? Like, I'm not a scientist. I can't, again, dream of what might be, truthfully, because again, the people studying this don't really know. But it does bring to mind quite a bit of fictional ideas that we've talked about a lot in the past. Something buried beneath our feet, some ancient civilization that was covered with a cataclysm 1,000,000 years ago. The idea of Atlantis being a possible thing. Like I said, you can believe that stuff or not, or again, just come with me on the wild ride and speculate as maybe, as I like to call it, drinking the maybe juice. All right. But check this out. So a statement announcing the anomalous detections says these bizarre signals defy the current understanding of particle physics and may hint at previously undiscovered particles or particle interactions. Now you got me. You got me at previously undiscovered. Or how about previously unrediscovered? Anyway, quote, "It's an interesting problem because we still don't actually have an explanation for what those anomalies are," said research team member Stephanie Wissel, 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 how do you say that? I don't know, an associate professor of physics, astronomy, and astrophysics, and the study's lead author. The research team says detecting pulses seemingly originating from beneath the Antarctic ice was undoubtedly exciting. However, they say they were in the middle of an experiment searching for neutrinos, and the discovery was a lucky accident. Elusive particles without an electrical charge and the smallest known mass of all subatomic particles, these neutrinos, are typically emitted by extremely high energy sources, which we've talked about in the past as well, like stars or supernovae, all right? Supernova, plural. Even though models indicate they are plentiful in the universe, they have been virtually impossible to detect since they rarely interact with other types of matter, but pass right through it. Super cool, right? Quote, "You have 1 billion neutrinos passing through your thumbnail at any moment. But neutrinos don't really react," Wissel explained. "So this is the double-edged sword problem. If we detect them, it means they have traveled all this way without interacting with anything else." All right, I'll leave that there. We'll get back to that in a second. And the bizarre part, well, there's lots of bizarre parts about this, but basically, if they do interact, let's say this was coming from a neutrino from the other side of the planet, okay, from the North Pole down to the South Pole, which is where they're detecting these things. They say that there's enough rock in the Earth and the mantle and all this stuff, right, that it's a big enough mass structure that it would stop these neutrinos from actually exiting the lower half of the Earth, because they would stop. They would interact eventually or fade out or be absorbed or whatever the actual scientific term is, that they wouldn't be able to detect them coming through the other side of the planet. Unless, of course, there's something happening in, again, the modern physics that we don't quite understand, which, again, seems very likely to me because, of course, we don't have everything figured out and all the rest. But it did bring to mind many things, including, of course, like I said, in current science fiction. You guys remember the X-Files with that alien spaceship buried beneath the ice? Yeah, right? Maybe something like that. Or, for instance, H.P. Lovecraft at the Mountains of Madness, which were specifically and directly in Antarctica, which is an interesting thing as well. We'll talk about that in a moment here. But basically, I don't know. What do you think what is going on, basically? I'm going to talk about wild possibilities, which is what I do. And so, again, the disclaimer is relax. This is just having fun talking about Marvel's what if we're here in our planet. How much Marvel would a woodchuck chuck or whatever. Anyway, so yeah, that's where we begin. And there's the paper is down below if you want to read the actual science on this. If you're more of the science-minded type, that's super cool. And maybe if you have like an idea of what this is, if you're sort of the science guy or really interested in the actual specifics of this, it's there. It's all published down below, the abstract and all the stuff. It's got all the graphs and all the stuff and all the science and all the math. And I just don't have time to go through it. And if I read some of this, I would bore you to tears. So I'm not going to. But it's all there if you want to kind of look into it and dig deep and find maybe a theory, maybe an alternative theory of what this might be scientifically. That's not my game. My game instead is to wonder about what might be down there. And is it possible? Here's the question for tonight. Is it possible that there's something left below the ice that's actually sending these signals up? And they call it a reverse rain of particles because, like I said, they cannot explain why they're moving in the opposite direction unless they're coming through the other side of the Earth, which, again, doesn't make sense in current modern science. So there's a lot going on with this. And it's making all the headlines as usual, as these things are likely to do when there's anomalous things detected, especially in Antarctica, because that's one of those places that's always really on our mind in terms of spooky stuff. We've all seen the images of the quote pyramids in Antarctica, whether you believe that's real or not. Like, I'm not sure what to believe because you'd have to uncover it with uncover the snow from it and do some excavations and kind of look at it. I mean, satellite images are one thing, but this is something else entirely. Okay. And so, well, imagine, how about this? No, we'll talk about that when we get back, but that's where we start. That's where we begin. And there's a whole bunch of this going down in terms of, like I said, the clickbait, zeitgeist, the news cycles and all the rest. And what does it mean? And so the question for you guys tonight is, how weird is this? How weird might it get? And do you think that an ancient civilization may have actually existed below Antarctica millions of years ago? Yeah, that's where we start. That's what's on my mind tonight. And we'll get to the Mountains of Madness in a second here. But first, let's take a quick break and get a word from our sponsor. In this case, that's Human Inspiration. Don't go anywhere. More Troubled Minds coming up in exactly 1 minute. Be right back.
In a world increasingly shaped by AI, human inspiration remains the beating heart of creativity. Alien Skin by Tremble, a hauntingly beautiful piano ballad, reminds us that while algorithms can mimic art, the raw, unfiltered emotions of human experience are irreplaceable.
So here I sit, locked in my room again.
Written and composed by Jesse Ian in collaboration with Todd Smith, this progressive masterpiece delves into the depths of internalized grief and the silent toll of artistic compromise. As AI reshapes our reality, Alien Skin stands as a testament to the timeless power of human emotion and the complex beauty that only true artists can evoke. Experience the haunting beauty of Alien Skin by Tremble and support human inspiration. Available now on iTunes.
And welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Let us continue, shall we? All right. So signals beneath the silence. The ice knows something is what I'm calling this tonight. And that's where we'll start, okay? Because, of course, it did remind me of the Mountains of Madness. It did remind me of Charles Fort and the weirdness of, blood rain or frogs falling from the sky, if you guys are familiar with the works of Charles Fort. And it is, Fortean by actual term, but he is sort of the godfather of the paranormal in the modern day, which is an interesting thing because we're talking rain. And in his case, one of the things that made him, dare I say quasi-famous or still notable today, wasn't just his theories on the paranormal, but his studies of these bizarre rainfalls, which in some cases were, jelly-like translucent, blood-esque looking rain, frogs falling from the sky, fish, all manner of weird things, which of course can be explained in modern science. A hurricane blows up over there and drops some fish over there, and then everybody freaks out because they're like, it's raining fish. Not technically, but it still scared the hell out of you if you were nowhere near where the hurricane was happening, right? Anyway, you get the idea. But in terms of Charles Fort, I was thinking, okay, so this is an upside down rain. This is a rain coming from literally the core of the earth in some capacity and raining upward. And like I said, modern science doesn't say that it can happen going through the earth. It would stop it and it wouldn't come all the way through. So what the hell's down there really becomes the question of the night. And how weird would it get? So, okay, we did Anita. Oh, so Anita is actually the thing here. And it's ANITA, all capitals. It's called the Antarctic Impulsive Transient Antenna. Okay. And this is how it works. I've got this PDF link down below, which is super cool. It's a balloon up there that they've got traveling in a circle around, down there around the South Pole. And it's detecting the neutrinos. It's detecting all of these things that we're still trying to understand. And that's the great part about it, is it is on the bleeding edge of science because there's a lot of stuff happening as usual that we don't really get, including, of course, the dark matter mystery and all that stuff we've always talked about. It's that placeholder idea of calling something because we don't know it's there, but we infer it's there. And then, it just becomes a theory and not really science, a scientific theory, I guess, until they can prove it. But anyway, so if you want to read about what this thing actually is and the balloon and how they collect the information, the data, like I said, if you're a science-minded guy or person, perfect. Go check this out and you'll see exactly what we're talking about here. But in the case of, let's say, something a little more spooky, a little more weird, it brought to mind not just Charles Fort, but of course, H.P. Lovecraft and At the Mountains of Madness. Now, the whole thing that actually inspired the show tonight was this right here. Sandy Peterson. Good old Sandy Peterson on Twitter X. If you're not following him, I do recommend it. Seems like a fun guy. And at Sandy of Cthulhu is his tag. I'm not going to read that just yet, but that's what inspired it. I'll get back to that in just a second because it is a quote from At the Mountains of Madness. So I read that earlier and then ran into this this article again is making the rounds with the weirdness of the neutrinos coming from inside the Earth and raining upward, which again shouldn't happen scientifically, et cetera, so on. And it brought me to, well, the Mountains of Madness. So let's do that. Let's talk about that for just a second here, because I think it's important as part of at least the inspiration here, and maybe that cosmic horror of what lies beneath our feet under millions of years of evolution, of earthly evolution. So here we go. So the plot of At the Mountains of Madness, I'll just start from the top here. So At the Mountains of Madness is a novella by H.P. Lovecraft written in 1931, if you guys aren't familiar. It blends cosmic horror with science fiction and forbidden archaeology. This sounds right down our alley, right? Serving as one of the foundational texts of what would later become the Cthulhu mythos. The story is framed as a dire warning for future expeditions. Yeah. Okay, so the plot follows Dr. William Dyer, a geologist and professor at Miskatonic University, who leads a scientific expedition to Antarctica. Yes. Initially, their goals are routine: geological sampling, atmospheric studies, and exploration. But things quickly spiral into something far more sinister. A smaller advanced team led by Professor Lake discovers an uncharted mountain range taller than the Himalayas. There, they find fossilized remains of ancient creatures, strange barrel-shaped beings with starfish heads. The anatomy is bizarre and completely alien, defying classification. Lake names them Elder Things. Radio contact with Lake's team is suddenly lost. When Dyer and a student named Danforth arrive to investigate, they find the camp destroyed, men and dogs mutilated, and the bodies of the alien creatures gone. Dyer and Danforth venture deeper into the mountains and discover a vast ancient city carved from stone, buried beneath the ice. Something pre-human and cyclopean. Inside, they decipher murals that reveal the history of the Elder Things. They arrived on Earth from the stars before any known life, created the Shoggoths as slaves through bioengineering, and built vast cities across the planet. Eventually, their creations rebelled. The civilization fell into ruin, and the survivors retreated to the poles. The plot thickens. As they descend further, Dyer and Danforth encounter a living Shoggoth. Amorphous, intelligent, and monstrous. They flee in terror. Danforth sees something even worse, never described in detail, at the very edge of comprehension. It nearly drives him insane. Dyer ends the account by pleading with the scientific community to avoid Antarctica entirely. He suggests what they found was not the bottom of the Earth, but the beginning of something much deeper, something buried in time and ice that should remain undisturbed. The horror in Mountains of Madness is not just about monsters, but about confronting truths too ancient and vast for the human mind to bear. The universe, Lovecraft implies, is not ours, and we were never meant to uncover its secrets. And that's just a quick version of At the Mountains of Madness, again, H.P. Lovecraft, written in 1931. However, this is the quote that kind of inspired the entire thing. Shout out Sandy Peterson on Twitter X. Check this out. I am forced into speech because men of science have refused to follow my advice without knowing why. It is altogether against my will that I tell my reasons for opposing this contemplated invasion of the Antarctic. With its vast fossil hunt and its wholesale boring and melting of the ancient ice cap, and I am the more reluctant because my warning may be in vain. And this is, of course, the professor that survives, Dr. William Dyer, with his, Anyway, so basically, it's a warning to not explore the darkest and deepest places of the Earth. Also, other things come to mind: the mines of Moria, unearthed the Balrog, the dwarves delved too deep and too greedily. You know, there's a lot of things that kind of fit into this trope, this old trope of ancient things deep beneath our feet in the bowels of the Earth. And that's the great part here, is because no matter how you look at this, there's some maybes. There's some maybes here. Again, it just depends on what you believe and how open your mind is to it. But remember the rules too. Art Bell used to say this: keep an open mind, but not so open that your mind falls out. Okay, so that puts us where we need to be. Now, there's this thing called a tau neutrino, which is what they're looking at as part of it. Like I said, I'm not a scientist. I'm not going to be able to go through it, but I'll read a little bit here. So the tau neutrino is an elementary particle which has the symbol this right here. I'll have it linked in the description, and zero electrical charge. Together with the tau, TAU, it forms the third generation of leptons, hence the name tau neutrino. Its existence was immediately implied after the tau particle was detected in a series of experiments between 1974 and 1977. Yada yada. The discovery of the tau neutrino was announced in July 2000 by the Donut collaboration. That's direct observation of the new tau and UTAU. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. So it's as of 2022, they've been called the least studied particle in the standard model because of their low cross section, difficulty of production, and difficulty to distinguish from other neutrino flavors. That's a t-shirt, neutrino flavors. But anyway, so the question really starts to become, what do you think is down there? Is it possible there's something very Mountains of Madness-esque, something with the elder gods or something to that degree? And I mean that not in a, in a religious way. I mean that in a Lovecraftian way. Something so old and so ancient that it, let's say, is undefinable. And so they have to call it something. And in this case, they called it the elder things, right? But okay, so that's where we start. And let's see, a couple things. Okay, we did neutrinos, the directionality, why they shouldn't happen, because of course, if they were coming from the other side of the Earth, the North Pole, the Earth would kind of block them at some point and they wouldn't come all the way through. So this is what's confusing them as part of the physics problem, these tau neutrinos, as I described. And let's see, yeah, and that's the thing, right? Antarctica has typically been really a historically shielded, deep secret place. There's, conspiracy theories whispered about you can't go there and the Antarctica treaties and all that stuff, right? I'm not trying to say that. I'm just saying that there's a very, kind of a hushed whisper in the world when it comes to this place, even though there are entities still down there, doing research all the time. My brother's been there, by the way. He's actually been there. He went on a Nat Geo voyage. They lucked out. Somebody had cheap tickets for him, somebody they knew, so you got to kind of know somebody. You can't just, hop in a boat and go there. But they, him and his wife went, and they said it was neat. It was cool. They got pictures and, spent time on a boat and everything. So it's not impossible to get to, just FYI. You just got to, go through the proper channels and pay the tickets and you can go. But anyway, so here's the first question, right? As part of it, this larger concept and sort of the X-Files place in this, or at the Mountains of Madness. But what kind of intelligence would speak to us like this, sort of in particles instead of words? Okay, sending a message, for instance, up into the sky from someplace central in the Earth. And are we just now starting to listen because we can detect these things? And what does it mean? Really becomes a question. So how about this as part of it too? Have you ever felt like something in our reality is trying to get our attention through patterns we don't yet understand? And in this case, those would be those tau neutrinos and this new science. Again, and it might just be something that we can explain away. They're going through the noise to signal and all that stuff as you would expect scientists to do. So maybe it's nothing. As usual, maybe it's nothing. But what if it's something? What if it's the very beginning of a discovery that will change everything? And that becomes what's on my mind tonight. Hope you guys are doing well, hanging out. Got some news too. So we are, as you know, if you guys have been watching the streams, you'll notice my computer's getting slow. We've talked about this recently. I do need a new computer. I've been getting by on like this middling computer for years, and now it's chunking up and starting to suck again. And I had an idea. We can collaborate, because I've got some music everybody keeps wanting to buy, which is now available for release. So, and as many of you know too, as part of this, not one time in the 7 years of Troubled Minds have I ever done a fundraiser of sorts for me, for us, for this. I've done it for other people. I've done it for the Fundraise FM to pay, somebody's bills, all the rest of that. But I've never actually said, hey, look, let's do this and upgrade what we can do with this system, the control panel of Troubled Minds. So I've got an offer for you. Let's do that together, except you get to buy some sweet music, which you already love, which we've played time and again. And it's on the Troubled Minds shop right now. It's actually live, the Troubled Fans shop. And I'll show you. Go to troubledfans.com. Check this out. And let's see, where are we at? Just hit the shop on top. Scroll down to, hold on. Featured launch products. Click that. And I'll actually link the things themselves. But down there, we've got the first two Rogue Topaz albums available for release right now. You can buy it on a digital download or an actual physical CD if you want to do that. It'll ship to the lower 48 states currently. So if you're international, let me know. We'll work something out. But anyway, it's all up there right now if you want to check it out. And I would appreciate it, because I'm going to take all the proceeds that go to that and put them to a new computer for Troubled Minds. And like I said, ask anybody who's been there since the beginning. I have never done this because I think it's kind of scummy, but I don't want to shell out $3,000 for a machine. So anyway, that's what's on my mind tonight. I hope you guys are doing well. Looking to hear from you. What is on your mind regarding this? Is there something beneath our feet that is, I don't know, deeper than we ever dreamed? 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll be right back. We got Daryl in New York on the line and your calls as well. Don't go anywhere.
Deep down beneath the eyes, a creature comes alive. Colossal, it rolls and thrives. The darkness it hides. Oh, legends, tales of might underneath the frozen skies. We are the giants bold. We are the truth untold. We are in the chilly hold. We are the giants, feel the power unfold. Out, we shake cloud, that's sunrise. They take and sport, your shadows rebounds. We are the giants bold. We are the truth untold. We are in the chilly hold. We are the giants, feel the power unfold. Rise up in the storm, a symphony of might. Join in, hero, unleash the primal light. We are the giants bold. We are the truth untold. We are in the chilly hold. We are the giants, feel the power unfold. Beneath the ice, heartbeat calls, echoes through the depths, so silence falls. Mysteries wrapped in frozen chains, the tale of power through time remains. We are the giants bold. We are the truth.
Actually, kind of didn't like that one at first, and now I kind of do. What's up, Daryl? We got Daryl coming up. What's up, APOC? Jorge, what's up, JJ? Rowan Fungus, Mindy, Mephisto. We got Mango. What's up, Sweets? Jeff and Wisco is next. Joey, what's up, Hirsch and Dawn? I see you guys. Hope you're well tonight. Over on Rumble, please unpin some of those. I can't chat because it's covering up my chat box. That's like 10 messages to pin. Thank you, Mr. Mission Control. How you doing, Sweets? What's up, Dawn? I see you. Yeah, Rogue Topaz is a great name. That's a shout out Matt Matzell. He's the one who coined that. What's going on, Sweets? RC is here. Good evening, guys. If I missed you, just say hi. I'll say hi back. What's up, James? Feel better. What's going on, Sylvain? Shane is here. The Blind Psychonaut. What's up, OG Skywatch? Welcome back, buddy. We got Anything Is Possible. That's Ricky. Good evening, guys. Magavelli. How you guys doing? I hope you're well. And yeah, Richard in Texas. All right, here we go. Trouble Minds coming up. Love to hear your thoughts on this. How deep does it go? Literally the rabbit hole. And I don't mean the conspiracy rabbit hole. I mean ancient civilizations beneath our feet. And how weird does this get? And here we go. Trouble Minds happening right now. Daryl first, and then we got Jeff and Wisco, and your calls as well. Here we go. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, D Live, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting. And of course, 88.4 FM Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, could neutrinos be fragments of prophecy leaking backward through time from events yet to come? Is it possible that ancient machines buried in polar ice are still running, altering physics from below? What if the planet itself is engaged in a silent war and these strange upward signals are its scars? Lots of ways to look at this. And again, that's just being wild and weird and sort of the sci-fi brain guy that I am. Like I said, again, I just cannot reiterate this enough. It is science fiction, okay? We're literally utilizing weapon as the most powerful technology. Storytelling as the most powerful technology. And not weaponizing it, but using it as a way to see the world a little differently. And that's the whole point of this, is kind of coming outside the mundane world we live in and talking about wild ideas by dark of night. So how weird does it get? Again, we started with this wild idea of the debrief article talking about these, again, tau neutrinos and these actual particles coming from the middle of the earth, or, middle-ish, because, who knows? Who knows where that's really coming from? But love to hear your take on this. What do you know about it? And what's your, I guess so the question as we started would be, what's the easy way to describe this? And what's the hard way, sci-fi style? 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. Just like this, let's go to Daryl in New York. What's happening, my friend? Welcome back. How are you tonight? Go right ahead.
Hey, Michael. Great topic. I like this topic a lot. I think Antarctica is a big mystery. And let me just take a look at my notes. I think as soon as we accept that there were more advanced, extinct civilizations before us, that we can accept and ponder all of these concepts like free energy, radio, other frequencies, even like intergalactic internet, for the hell of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe these were ways that we would share information with Nibiru and other galaxies. And they were even talking about, they discovered a parallel universe. I don't know how they did that, but, prove it, right? But I mean, if they could find a parallel universe, like maybe we were communicating through some kind of technology that's under the ice now. And, Antarctica, from whoever's been there, I mean, they've had a lot of, they've discovered a lot of weird things, like, an underground base with ambient lighting, and it was climatized, and the ceilings were really tall, like for really tall people. And they had writings that were not like anything that were familiar to us, like in any other hieroglyphic, format. They also had the scientists that were like missing for 2 weeks that they found, and they wouldn't talk. They seemed to be traumatized, and they were never seen again. They had other scientists that apparently, were swimming, and they saw some sort of creature that kept morphing into and including scuba divers, like some sort of octopus that could morph, and it tore one or more of the scientists apart, before they ran away from it. There's a lot of weird stuff that they've found there. There's also, Gigi had a guest who was like a hybrid alien psychic medium. And she was like full of these truth bombs about Antarctica because, we figured we'd pick her brain about stuff we really didn't know. And she said there was some sort of weapon that shouldn't have been there that seemed to have Earth or, planet destroying capabilities. So there was a lot of weird stuff that's been, that I've heard, that has made the rounds.
Yeah, and I agree. I've heard a bunch of that stuff too. We've talked about some of it, and as usual, like I can't vouch for any of that stuff because who really knows? I do think that there's some level of propaganda involved with with Antarctica itself, and whether that's, you know, a state sponsored sort of thing, or if it's just kind of something that comes from the algorithm and interest in anomalous places or things. It's definitely one of those places that stands out in terms of piquing the curiosity of what's possible. And again, we know this too from actual science that describes that Antarctica was not always covered in ice. It was sort of the drifting of the continents and all the rest. So it could have been, you know, sort of that Sleestack level civilization, kind of Atlantis style, that was there millions of years ago. And who's to say that they're not still there, sort of just buried under it and happy to be away from us in our, you know, terrible ways on the earth, the human way, as a new war has broken out over the weekend, which I'm not even going to talk about because all of this pisses me off. But case in point, another day, another war. It's horrific. But yeah, you're spot on. Tons of stuff, tons of tales and modern day folklore, even in propaganda, really flow into the idea of Antarctica. And I think it's for a number of reasons, obviously, but yeah, great point on all that, because I think that we're definitely on the same page here.
Forgot about one more thing, that one scientist, or he was a pilot that apparently flew into this area that was totally lush and tropical, and that apparently the people there had taken control of his plane, and they had cocktails for him that were more delicious than anything he's ever had, and they were these tall, kind of, you know, blonde Norwegian type of alien looking things that were very attractive. And it was very tropical and warm, you know, in a hole in the ice, you know, and they had a message for him to deliver to the world. And you know, when he started to talk about it, he got shut up real quickly, you know, and he never talked about it again. You know, he really was, you know, dumbfounded by what he discovered, and he was pretty legitimate sounding, you know, he wasn't some nutcase. He was part of some military or whatever.
I believe. So
that was another. Yeah,
I know who you're talking about. Admiral Byrd, right? I think that's the one.
Right.
So he did do this is fact. We do know he did do the mission to Antarctica shortly after World War II, and I think they were looking for, you know, the breakaway civilization of a Nazi base, or, you know, and there's been all kinds of wild conspiracy theories that came out of that. I think the one you're talking about, and I could be wrong, it's from his, you know, quote diary that came out after his death, where he was flying into I think in the North Pole. I don't know. I'm foggy on the details, and again, I'm not sure that's true as usual. How can you verify any of this stuff? But I definitely have heard that tale, and that's why it's important to talk about these things, because there is a mythology about the poles of the earth that are unreachable to most of us, but for obvious reasons, I think.
And who's going to be running up there unless they have a ton of money, a ton of free time, and really enjoy cold weather, and you know, have equipment. I mean, you know, if you want to really be, you know, a scientist up there, you have to have that kind of, like, you know, those kind of balls to do that kind of stuff, I think. You know, we're not going to be going there on our own dime, you know, just to do some exploration. And you definitely want to be, you know, with what has happened in the past. Like, it sounds there's some funky stuff going on there, and there's a no-fly zone. Like, why is there a no-fly zone? You know, apparently you're not supposed to fly over a certain area where certain, like, supposedly spaceships fly in and out of. So, you know, you're supposed to stay away from there. But somebody that did fly over it saw that kind of tropical hole or something like that. So, and there was something on Google Earth even that had a hole in it, and they covered it up. They've covered up pyramids, you know. They saw that's just the landscape, you know. But as soon as the ice melts, sometimes you see some new stuff, you know. And when the ice melts in one place, it gathers up in another. So that, you know, we're not exactly being flooded by the melting of the polar caps, you know, because it's kind of replenishes itself on another side.
Now you've done
what
it.
I've heard.
Now you got us put on a list. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I mean, the climate science, you know me and the climate science too. Not to say that things aren't changing. Of course, they're always changing, but it pisses me off, all the gloom and doom regarding that stuff. It's like, really, come on now. Like, if you go back and trace all that, it's so comical that they're like, in 2003, by 2015, we'll all be underwater. Like, bruh,
No,
stop it.
Didn't happen.
It's still not happening.
Not gonna happen.
3.5 millimeters a year, as it's always been, the sea level rise. barely accelerating.
These-
Let's stop it. Stop it.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if any of these, like, these, like, gradual, like, floodings have happened either immediately or happened so slowly, that people had the time to relocate. I mean, all over this planet, there's underwater cities, but how long did it take for that to go underwater? Did it happen overnight or did it happen gradually? And people were moving, and we move our coasts. We put sand up. We take care of it. We're not exactly, moving that quickly. These things happen very slowly. But anyway, it's not neither.
No, you're spot
here nor
on.
there about-
You're spot on, actually. I was reading a thing earlier, not today, maybe yesterday, about not Antarctica, but Australia. How it used to be sort of this larger supercontinent with New Zealand and a bunch of the other surrounding islands that has all been put underwater now. And the article was
Right.
fantastic because it was talking about the oldest human civilizations and describing it as being native to Australia in a lot of ways. It came out of Africa or whatever, and they're trying to figure out how, but there were land bridges and different things because we're talking, maybe 75,000 years ago, at least by modern scientific, kind of thumbnail guesses on these things. But that's the cool part is that imagine all those actual coastal places that are now underwater that could be the smoking gun to sort of the Graham Hancock type stuff, that maybe they're everywhere, but it's so difficult to excavate underwater, even like a mile out at this point, that, this is the speculation land we live in. But you're absolutely right on that, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, they're discovering them like left and right. If you listen to the algorithms on YouTube, every day they're finding something underground. Could this be Atlantis? Could that be Atlantis? Could this be just another underwater city? Some of them are so huge too. They were obviously like huge cities, that were substantial, that a lot of people lived in, that, eventually had to relocate. Obviously, they had to go somewhere else, but they're like a mile from the shoreline. They're not that far away from where people are living now. So it looks like it was probably gradual.
Yeah, for sure. The coming out of the ice age and all the rest of that. But again, how many ice ages were there? How prevalent are they? Is it every 50,000 years or something? Like, who knows? Like, this is the type of stuff that we've got some ideas, but we certainly don't have it all figured out. That's a fact.
No, I don't think so. And we've lived through ice ages. I think it got really cold, and then it got warm again. So they're not all locked in ice. But I think whatever happened in Antarctica looks like, I think that I would call that an ice age. That they're buried in ice for millions of years, except for an area that has some kind of thermal qualities that has kept that area climatized. There is an area that's probably has a lot of thermal underground volcanoes or whatever, that or maybe technology that they had ambient lighting apparently. So what was that? And it's 70 degrees, and they described this, more than one whistleblower had described this area. So something's up there. And why did like all those important people go up there the day of some election? I can't remember who was getting elected.
Certainly nobody deserved it.
Well, it was like Neil Armstrong and like I forget who else. Maybe it was Joe Biden or Obama. I forget who went up there. I can't remember what election. Somebody look it up. My memory's no good, but I remember it's like, why did they go up there, and what were they talking about? Why? What did they? It was like some kind of international event, and nobody ever heard about it. Like, what? Why? Why were they called up there? So anyway,
that's one I hadn't heard of. But yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. And that's about it. I just had two naughty jokes, or one naughty joke and one not so naughty joke.
All right, looking forward to it. Go right ahead.
I'll start with the not so naughty. So, why was the anomaly so broke or so poor?
No idea.
Because it didn't make any sense. The anomaly. Okay.
Zing.
Okay, now this is kind of naughty. I hope I can say this. Why would a masturbation contest would be an anomaly?
I don't know.
Well, you'd have to come in last in order to win. You'd have to come. All right. I'm sorry.
You're allowed. You're allowed. Everybody, the second you pop in, everybody's like, "Oh yeah, we got jokes coming. We got jokes coming." So thank you for putting that together. And yeah, good, all the stuff. And this is why we talk to each other. It's a good reminder that we need to laugh at ourselves and at everything in the world around us. And we were talking about this late on the Discord on Saturday night. Frivolity is also a good thing. We can take ourselves seriously, but if we can't laugh at ourselves, what the hell are we doing? You're the best, Daryl. Appreciate you very much.
Right.
Unless you got anything else.
Okay. That's it for me. That's it. Can't wait to hear the other calls. Have a great night.
You were the best. Have a fantastic one. Appreciate that. You know where you love her. That's Daryl in New York, a good friend for a long time. Of course, the cosmic comic of Troubled Minds, as you can tell. Please go give her a follow. That's going to be troubledminds.org/friends. Just scroll down. It's all alphabetical once you get to that page, or click friends on the main website. And just Daryl, there you go. Follow Daryl. Visit the link, and it'll take you to her YouTube page where you can. She's very talented, as you know. She can sing in English and French. She's doing karaoke many times on our Discord as well, sharing the link so you can come sing with her or come hang out and just listen and chat with the group there. I've done it before. It's very fun. A lot of very talented people. And go check out Daryl's channel. Go give her a follow, please. Look, it's free. Like I said, if you're been listening to Troubled Minds for a long time and you haven't spent some time to go follow Daryl and all the amazing people that make this work, you are hurting my feelings. Please help. That's the whole point. Go leave her a nice comment on our YouTube channel and come join our Discord here, troubledminds.org. Click the Discord link on top and look out for her karaoke. They do this usually a couple, 3 times a week, and everybody's welcome to join. So please keep an eye out for that. And Daryl, you were the best. Appreciate it very much. Thank you for coming prepared and bringing the jokes and the notes and everything else. We're talking, the Antarctica stuff tonight. Again, so Antarctica scientists don't actually have an explanation for strange radio pulses coming from below the ice. And this is new. This was back to 2006, I believe, when they first had some weirdness with the ANITA project is what it's called. Again, links are in the description down below if you want to see the science on that. But then there's a new version of this where they're like, wait a minute, now we're detecting some of these other things, these different flavors of neutrinos that make no sense. And they're not coming from space. They seem to be originating from inside the Earth itself. Weird, no? Love to hear what you think. How weird does it get? What's your theory, one way or the other? And does it remind you of Lovecraft in the Mountains of Madness? 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show just like this. Let's go to Jeff in Wisco. What's up, my man? How are you tonight? Unmute, and you're on Troubled Minds. And go right ahead. Welcome back. Been a minute. Glad to have you. What's on your mind?
Hey, can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Yep, loud and clear. You sound great.
All right, perfect. Hey, hope everybody's doing well. Happy Father's Day to all those fathers out there. This is a good topic and burning in my mind, actually. So fortunately I don't have any notes, but good call from Daryl. So you said something though that in there in your opening part that was like, yeah, I've been thinking about this a little bit. Just my take here, and this is like a take, this is a thought, right? Like I'm just trouble minding this out here. And I look at the picture of I guess while I've been alive, what I've seen, what goes on in the world, whatever. And what I see is control, right? Like and I don't want to get like political or anything like that. If I get political, it's Trouble Minds, like anti-political, but just what's going on in the world and stuff like that, these wars, whatever. It's madness, really what it is, and it all boils down to like a few select people's egos, to be quite honest. And we, the people, are the ones that pay the price for it, right? It's all a control mechanism from the very, very, very start. You can look back at anything, and the leaders and everything. It's all done for them, right? Like everything you're doing is for them, not for you and me, or us, for them. So I'm taking this there a little bit, like it's a control thing, right? So what if these neutrinos coming out of here are something from like a past civilization that's maybe they're do a lot, right? Or like on a universe scale, like a creator or something of this nature, right? That just does a lot. Maybe you can't distances and whatever the case is, you just can't you had your babies over here, you have your babies over here, you can't always watch them, you know what I mean? You can't constantly be having your eye on one thing because you got a lot going on, perhaps, in the time of the universe, you know. So maybe these signals are coming out, and it's like a signal for us, right? But it's not for us; it's for them. But we think it's for us. We're going to eventually be able to pick up on these signals, right? And now all of a sudden, boom, we have these signals. We can pick up on them. Now we can do something with them. That might be the indicator to them, like, oh, they're ready. They're ready. You know what I mean? We got to get back to there because they're ready now. Like a kind of like a sensor. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So speculatively, yeah, I'm with you. So let's say ancient astronaut theorists say yes, and there were entities here millions of years ago. Would they have buried something like that remotely underground that would be sending signals up that when we were ready to detect it, they knew that we had the technology necessary for them to communicate with us? Yeah, maybe. I mean, again, that's drinking a lot of maybe juice, and I'm with you because I chugged the maybe juice, and I like the idea. It's actually part of the write-up that I was talking about a little bit as I put this show together. But I think you're spot on, at least, again, speculatively. If you can even entertain the ancient astronaut theorists say yes, I think certainly that level of something would maybe be part of the anomalous stuff, and maybe even detecting, you know, the noosphere, the zeitgeist, the things we talk about, and kind of taking the temperature of humanity. Well, are these chumps still murdering each other, you know, thousands of years later? Yeah, we are. And maybe they're not ready to talk to us. You know what I mean? That type of stuff certainly makes sense if you can conceive that aliens were here in the past. And so why not, right?
It could be for good. It could be for absolute terribleness, right? Like we're a project or a experiment or something like that. And they're like, if they get to this point, we got to stop it. Or maybe if they get to this point, we got to help. Now we got to help them. It could, you know what I mean? I don't know. I'm just saying, like, it's like a sensor thing. You know, it could easily be a sensor thing for a civilization that's out there that has a lot going on, and is just like doesn't want to wait around here. You know what I mean? We're not gonna wait around for thousands of years to see what happens. Let's just put a sensor in here and let us know when we're there, when it's time.
Yeah, which kind of actually echoes the idea of those von Neumann probes, which are those self-replicating nanobots that supposedly can kind of float out into space and then start replicating themselves, and then maybe even creating signals like this as part of it. Maybe, right? Like we're talking about creating them now in 2025 or in the last 5 or 10 years.
Have you heard or dug into anything about the Black Knight? You know, that satellite that's supposedly. Have you ever heard about that?
Yeah,
the Black Knight.
I haven't talked about it in a very long time. We did a show on that very early on, but I've heard of it. I haven't talked a lot about it, so I don't know a lot about it, but I have heard of it. Yep.
Right. You know, something like that of the sorts or whatever. But like, you know, of course, if it's buried beneath the ice, we're not going to find it until it's time that we could see those signals, right? Like, it would be a foolproof method, really. Something that I would use if I was a creator, to be honest. Like, you know, like, let's just come back when it's time is ready. I'm not going to sit here for thousands of years when I can create other things, you know, or do other things or whatever. It's like, when I take a look at the big picture, like of all the, you know, you see like pyramids and all these things, and we are wrapping our minds of like, how did they do this? How did they do this? It's, to me, it seems clear. Like they were just more advanced back then, and not when I say back then is like as we are now, and now if you know, could be back then. It could be the same thing. It's just time. It's just a different time. But there's who's to say that for a million years here on Earth, they didn't evolve some kind of awesome technology that, you know, by the time, you know, there's been dinosaurs, there's been something else, there's been all these other, you know, creations or things that have come and gone and completely wiped out. We have no evidence of, because it takes a really, really long time to get that bang of consciousness back of where, hey, we're here, we know what's going on, and now you're rediscovering everything. Well, I mean, it's very possible in this violent Earth, you know, the things that happen, that's a very plausible thing. I mean, that in time there's a civilization that well developed, you know, beyond anything we could imagine, right? And portals and who knows what the heck else. We're going there. We're in this day, they are literally trying to develop portals. They're like focusing on things like this. I mean, there's some things going out there that's actually got some. If you want to look at something really interesting, There's a thing going on down in Arizona, the Superstition Mountains areas, where there's been a big discovery down there recently, very recently. I don't know if I'm supposed to say anything or not, but I guess I can because it's out there. But like there's been have you ever heard about this like Dutchman gold?
Yes. Okay. We're just about out of time.
Okay.
So can you hang over? I want to hear about this and give you the necessary time to. Okay. So hang tight. Please mute up. We'll be right back with Jeff and Wisco here, and to hear this tale because I don't want to cut him short and have him tell me the 10-second version. But that's what's going on tonight. All manner of wild things, and glad to have Jeff here. Thank you for the call, Daryl. Love to hear your guys' thoughts on this. Again, how deep does this go conceptually? And do you think there is a signal buried beneath the ice out there trying to get our attention after all these years? If you want to be part of the conversation, you know what to do. Where's the thing? Is that the thing? That's not the thing. That's the thing. 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds on Michael Strange. Be right back. More with Jeff and Wisco and your calls as well. Don't go anywhere.
In a cryogenic slumber, lost in the lunar night, your face a faded number among the stars so bright. Dreams of forgotten echoes, waiting for time's command. Curtains of gray and sorrow, the lonely lunar sand. Below the moonlit sky, the fragments of the love we tried. Silent by your where ancient souls reside, suspended in a story, kept in the cold dark tide. Our futures in the making, silver-edged domain, hearts kept in silent aching, till we meet once again. We are awakened below the moonlit sky, onto the fragments of the love we tried. Frozen time we're resting, waiting for dawn's embrace. Whispers of love confessing in this forgotten place. We are awakened below the moonlit sky, to the fragments of the love we tried. With the morning glow, and the light will come to know. We are awakened below the moonlit sky, to the fragments of the love we tried. In the depths of lunar silence, our destinies intertwine. Memories kept so vibrant in the vacuum deep in mine. The tale of cosmic yearning across the astral sea, and the fires of hope still burning for when we finally breathe free.
And that track is on the Troubled Minds Greatest Hits, Rogue Topaz, by the way. I'll drop that link in the chat in a second here. Thanks again for pinning that over there on Rumble. And I couldn't say hi to Rumble because there was a bunch of pins when we started, so I'll start from the bottom. And not to be a buzzkill, pin away, guys. I just couldn't read anything or chat, so I was like, is this a bug or what's going on? Anyway, Raz has got to bounce. What's up? Puff is here. What's up, Gordo Hiker? I see ya. Good evening, guys. I hope you're well tonight. Sweets is over there. How you doing? What's going on? Tan Lines, YY. Hello. Hope you guys are well tonight. Thanks again for being cool in the chat and nice to each other. It makes my world go around. I appreciate that quite a lot. Like I said, a lot of places on the internet, people just show up to like crap on each other. It's not the best. It's not good for our mental health. It's not good for the world. Who did I miss? If I missed anybody, say hi. I'll say hi back. What's up, Iker? Y? We got Puff, Raz. I see you guys. Okay. Anyway, if I missed you, say hi, and I'll say hi over to YouTube. Who did I miss on YouTube? Richard in Texas. What's up, Sylvain over there on Twitch? Yep. Celia, how are you? Good evening. And who did I miss? Ricky. We got Joey, Michael W. What's happening? MJ, APOC, Jorge, JJ, Roving Fungus, Mindy, Sweets, Dawn, Herschel, Mephisto. We got Mango, Daryl. Thanks for the call, and Andy in the UK. Here we go. Trouble Minds happening. Taxi Graveyard. I see there, buddy. On Kick. Here we go. Trouble Minds happening right about now. We got more from Jeff and Wisco. Let's hear the story about the Superstition Mountains. I'm dying for this. Here we go. Trouble Minds happening. Meow. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, D Live, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting. And, of course, 88.4 FM, Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, we're talking about Antarctica. Yeah, that's right. Antarctica scientists don't actually have an explanation for strange radio pulses coming from below the ice. The plot thickens. What does that mean? And again, the Antarctica in particular has long been a hotbed for, dare I suggest, conspiracy theories. Now, what does that mean? Why is this stuck in our sort of collective psyche? And beyond that, how come it's still, again, really drawing us toward it with the Antarctica treaties and all manner of stuff? We'll get back to this in a sec, because I think this is important. Not just the science with the tau neutrinos, and again, not being able to go through the Earth from the North Pole and come out the South Pole. There's a lot of a really strange science here that I'll be honest, I don't entirely understand. I'll trust the science on this one just because it's incredibly complicated. However, if they're baffled, I'm baffled. And if we're all baffled, then what the hell's actually going on? And that's the case tonight. However, so we are taking your calls as part of it. What do you know about this? What's your intuition tell you about Antarctica? And how deep does this, quote, conspiracy go, if you want to call it that? That's what's on my mind tonight. But let's get back to Jeff in Wisco. What's going on, my man? I'm going to unmute you here, and you are back on Troubled Minds. Welcome back. You were about to tease us a thing, so thank you for being patient, waiting through the break, radio formats and all that. Problem. But glad to have you back. Go ahead. If you got anything else on Antarctica, for sure, if anything came to mind over the break, or if not, let's hear about the Superstition Mountains. It's up to you how you tackle that, but okay. Go right ahead.
Well, it kind of ties in. I mean, it sort of ties in. So it's not like it's totally off topic, but it's very interesting, burned in my mind. So anyways, the last thing I think I asked you was about the Lost Dutchman's gold, right? So, anyways, I got a friend that does some documentary. He makes good content and good movies and stuff. Anyways, he made it a huge discovery. He found possibly some of this Lost Dutchman gold. And the reason that I'm bringing it up is because, well, it's important, right? Because it's just kind of going to shed light onto some of the things I talk about, or what I say, the madness and the things I say. So it'll shed a little bit of light on it, and we can come back to the Antarctica. But so this gold that's been found is, it's a volcanic gold, right? It's coming from volcanoes. It's in Arizona. It's all over. Anyways, so but what the main part, I'll just get right to the point of it. The main part of this thing is this discovery of this gold. What they found, this gold, when it's burned, when you burn this gold down to its final form, it's like it turns into a white powder. Okay. And if you continue to heat this powder, it disappears. Okay, like vanishes. And then once it cools down, it comes back. and it's a thing. It's like a real thing. We'll probably hear about it more in the coming future here. But so the whole reason I'm bringing this up is it's a UFO activity thing. So this man I know basically found, and you can watch it. He released a thing on it. That's why I was like, yeah, I can talk about it now because it's out. But it's called Buried Cities and Lost Tribes. It's on Amazon. It's new. But anyways, it goes into detail about it. But essentially, he used paranormal / UFO UAP activity to prospect gold. Okay, so
I love it. Ley lines and meditating in the desert. Hey, why not? Right? Why not?
100%. So he was there doing research, trying to take some aerial footage and stuff like that, and like one of his drones like freaking disappeared. Like, and you go to like where it tracks it to, you know what I mean? It says like he saw it like literally vanish. Like he claimed that it was going up this hill, and it's just like he like lost sight of it. It just like he lost sight of it, and it was going. And then they have like a track, it's like a tracker thing on it, and it brings him to the spot, and it's like not there. So he's like, it's either like way up in the air, floating, or way up there somewhere, which it wouldn't be because the battery would be dead, or it's somehow got buried into the ground somehow, or it's in another dimension, right? Type of thing. Because they have videos of like a portal. Like it's really weird. I should probably I'll put I'm gonna post some links in there. All right, I'll do that.
Yeah, please do. Yeah, afterward, just drop them in the Discord so we can check this stuff out.
Yeah, because it's important. I'm saying this stuff because it is important. Like there's a lot of things happening right now. There's a lot of things coming to fruition, right? So, and it's all boils down to this. It's the weirdest thing, but even the control, the wars, all the stuff, it all is going to boil down to this, right? Because it's the thing that it's resources. It's a resource. So we have this resource here that can be used to potentially maybe interdimensionally travel or just cloak a ship. I'm not sure what, I wouldn't know, but those are the two things that pop in my head. You make something disappear and reappear, right? Like physically, and that's a real thing, and you can do that. Like that's like cloaking, right? I mean,
yeah.
So they can use this material for whatever the purposes they have. So that that's why they're here, probably. And then whoever has control of that would be, is going to have the say so in the world. Basically, we'll just say.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. I mean, it's all going to come down to a resource, power, control, things like that. And and I hate to say it, but we're in a sense like slaves. You know what I mean? We are working and doing all this work and taxes and paying and whatever, and it's like this across the globe too, on different scales. But we're just doing these things for all these people that are in power, and so at some point, like who are we in debt to? I was thinking of that, like who made up money and like who do we owe? Like like
everybody.
Yeah, everybody. But like who's that one person? Like we're like trillions of dollars in debt, like to who? Everybody, but then to who? Like who gets that money? Like it's a weird concept to think about, right? Like somebody is out there, made a decision that there's going to be money and that all these people are going to work under me, and I'm going to flourish forever. And then a certain amount of people that will, you know what I mean? And while everybody just gets their 80 years of life here and peace out, like it's just, It seems weird. It seems like a weird concept, right? But that's what's going on, and that's what I see. So that's what I'm like. I look at all these things, and then you're talking about this Antarctica stuff, and I've seen a lot of, Daryl brought out the Admiral Byrd thing. That's a pretty, relevant story from that time. Conspiracy things and a lot of weird things like how you can't fly, like no fly zones over the North Pole, the South Pole, and it's all stuff you can look up, and it's a real thing. It's like, why? There's something going on, something big, and you got to think about it. What could be this big? You know what I mean? That they're going to lie to us, and not tell us or just whatever. It's a big deal. And that's why I'm like, it's important. I'm trying to piece things together, and I'm like, I see all these things happening, and something's bound to happen here soon,
Yeah, well, that's the quickening we're always talking about, right? As technology develops and is accelerating, maybe this is the type of stuff that starts being discovered. And you're describing the properties of this gold, you know, whatever this is, as a sort of a metamaterial, as something that has properties that don't make sense sort of within our Newtonian physics and what we know up to the modern moment, but also maybe this stuff has been real, is real. And if I was honestly had found part of the Dutchman gold, I wouldn't say a word to a soul, because the next Joker with a bad attitude and some bullets is going to come find you. Come freaking find you. That's what I was about to say.
So this was very calculated, right? This was all very, very calculated, all this stuff. And after I post the links, it's a series called Aliens Uncovered. He's got like 20 movies, and there's like ones with like UFOs over Vegas, ones over Arizona. This man, his name is Clive Christopher. He really does amazing work. Like if you want to like everything he presents, you can look up yourself. You know what I mean? It's legit good stuff, great material. I would recommend it. So I'll post this stuff in the link, and it'll explain a lot of stuff. Like you can kind of prick my brain, because I've been watching this and studying this stuff even before I even saw this stuff. I've been looking into this UFO and all this stuff for a better part of 30 years. I mean, so it's just something that burns in me. And I guess I want to know, right? So here I am.
Yeah, hell yeah, me too. I've got thanks for being part of it. Yeah, I do have some questions about that and some comments, because it is, like I said, it seems very UFO, very metamaterial. I'm curious on how he did that. So I'm not going to make you go into detail on that. We can watch the thing, and I will watch it myself too, because the Superstition Mountains, if you guys don't know, is one of those sort of spooky places in Arizona that has been talked about, the Dutchman gold, and not just that sort of some local folklore that suggests there's maybe a final or last remnant of Native American tribes down there that are kind of staying away from people as much as possible. And if you wander too far out in the desert, they'll find you, and bad things happen to you if they do. And again, I don't think that's anti-Native people propaganda. I think that as usual, right, that we're scared of these places and these remote places in the desert. If you guys have ever spent any time in them, I live in Vegas. The desert is just like a 5-minute walk from where I live, and you can find yourself disoriented and turned around and lost if you don't have compasses. And what if your compasses fail? I mean, it's a desolate place, and certainly that type of sort of folklore would sort of generate out of it, because and maybe it's true too, who really knows, but definitely that type of sort of spookiness is kind of like the ocean a little bit. It's so desolate that if you get turned around the ocean, you're screwed, and you're going the wrong way. Good game, you'll be going a long way to get to nowhere. And the same thing goes for the desert. If there are no like visible landmarks, it's crazy. And some of that has happened too in here in Vegas. But regarding the thing, so what can you tell us briefly about we'll go as long as you need here, because I think this is an important thing to talk about. I haven't heard of it myself, but briefly about, do we know anything about how they used UFO stuff to find the treasure here, or part of the treasure? Like, was it ley lines, so and meditation? Like, give me the brief on that. I'd love to hear what the actual process was.
So I'll give for mind, I'll give a little tiny backstory, just like a little tiny backstory of how I even found this stuff and this guy and everything. Because I seen a craft back in the early 90s, and ever since I've been like, absolutely like, what the hell, I know what I saw, whatever. And quite frankly, I've never been called crazy. Like, I've told this story, and nobody's ever like, man, you're crazy, you didn't see that or anything. Everybody's believed me, like, because I don't have no reason to make it up, you know what I mean, or anything like that, and it happened. So, but anyways, I'm watching, because I'm into it. I do research. I'm like watching. So I saw this video, and I'm like, watching this video is Aliens Uncovered. It was like the origin. It was like maybe the first one or whatever. And I'm watching it, and it's interesting. But then what caught me was, this man actually had a photo of what I saw, right? He had a photo of it. And I was like, I stopped what I was doing. I was watching it. I stopped it. I looked up the director's name. I've searched him, I've found him more, he became friends with him now. And because I was just like, dude, this is crazy, right? Because there's actually that's the one I saw. I've seen a lot of similar things, but nothing exact. He saw it. He had it exactly what I saw. And I was like, oh my God. So that's how I got into this particular series or whatever. And so to answer your question now, how did they find this? So just years, just looking, he's got, we'll say, connections, and there would be some famous names like Tom King. He has the only video of the Phoenix Lights, and he works with some of these people, and we're talking natives. I mean, he dives deep. He knows these people. He's been there. He's into it, and so the stories he's gonna see and the stuff that you can watch from these series is gonna be like, mind blowing. It's gonna be like, wow, this is crazy. Never heard of this stuff, and it's all stuff you can look up. That's why I'm like, wow, this is great, because it's not just somebody throwing out stuff at you and saying, yeah, this, and then you got to speculate. Like, you can literally take your Google and look and find out there, you know what I mean, for yourself too. So what they did was they just setting up time, right? Just setting up and doing the thing, looking, putting the work in, going out, getting footage, doing the things just to get the footage, right? And over time, it was like, what's going on? Why are they always over here? I will say the Superstitious Mountains. Like, why is there so much weird stuff here? So then, of course, the shift can focus there, and so just data, recordings, things like that. They had this particularly incident where there was like this light, like on top of the mountain. Like, we'll say the mountain ledge. There's like a blue and a green light, right? And it looks like a hiker. Like, if you would just like look at it like somebody was hiking on the mountainside or out in the field or whatever.
Shout out hiker,
which is
over there on Rumble. Shout out hiker.
Which is a little bit weird, because it's Arizona. It's at nighttime, and just walk. It seems like not a great thing to do, like wandering out and not on trails and stuff or whatever. But so he's, they're like, this guy is like filming this. He's got this light, and he's like, I don't know what the hell they are. They're not like responding. It's like nothing. So he like shined a laser pointer at it, and both the lights came together. It was a green light and a blue light. The green light was a little bit higher than the blue light, but they were kind of like by each other. They kind of like came together when he flashed the thing at it and turned like a white bright light, like super bright light that lit up the whole area. And so they can't figure out what the hell this is. Like, what is this? Like, you know what I mean? It's like, it's there. He sees it all the time. It's not people. It's not a hiker. They've confirmed that it's definitely not a hiker. They don't know what it is. So they're, that's what they're investigating. Is like, what is this? They have video of an actual, like, what appears to be a portal. I mean, I don't know how else you could explain it. It's like this glowing thing out in the middle of the, whatever he's recording it. And it's like just there. It's like a glowing. It's not even like an orb. It's like a displaced like circle or something. You know what I mean? And it's like glowing, and it's just sitting there, and he's got footage of it. So that's why they went out to investigate this area. And so
that's wild. So follow the lights in the sky. Very Jesus-esque, right?
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah. So and so he's starting to think like, what are they here for? This and that. And then, this man's done a lot of research and, into the Dutchman gold that's in the area. So there's all this stuff he's pieced together absolutely perfectly, right? Like you'll watch this and be convinced, like, this is what's going on, it's so, yeah, that's how they found it, just doing the work and stuff. And then, he actually, the way he found the actual gold was just, he stumbled on, like, he lost his, I told you about the drone thing that he lost. And so he was like just basically coming down the mountainside, and the sun was just right, I guess, basically we'll say, like the sun just hit right, and he saw this yellow, shiny, gleaming on this rock.
Stop it.
And you're like, oh, look at that. And he looked, right? So he's like looking at it, and then he said it had to have been like not a coincidence, but like, or something like, but then just the way the sun was hitting the side of the mountain, he's like, it's littered with it. He's like, that's everywhere.
Drawn by the lights in the sky and the anomalous stuff they saw.
Yeah.
And real quick, it reminds me of, you guys have all seen this, the city of Tanis and the staff of Ra, and the light comes through at just the right moment, and it shows you the lost city of Tanis or whatever. I mean, the burial chamber of the Ark of the Covenant. I'm not making fun. I'm just saying, like, that's when I was like, no, not the sunlight, like kind of drawn to UFOs. I mean, there's a lot of stuff here that's, synchronistic is my point. So again, I'm not making fun or saying it's not real anything. I'm you know, my synchronistic mind is kind of on fire right now. That's really the point I wanted to make.
Yeah, no, but I mean, so for me, it kind of all ties together, right? Like it's like there's like one thing going on in this world, and it all ties together. I mean, you could tie probably every single war to it. You could, you know, going back from what in all of history, it's probably all to this thing. It's a controlled thing, and it's like we're being somewhat controlled. You know, I don't want to be like simulation or anything like that, but it's in some form of and I can see it, I can feel it. You know, I'm essentially like a slave. You know what I mean? I mean, I've produced a lot of things and you know, I've done a lot of things. I have a lot of skill, but I'm, you know, and intelligent. I've the best at what I do in my field. Like, well, you know, but I struggle, right? I'm struggling. I should be not rolling in cash, but I should be struggling. And then you have billionaires, right? That what are they doing? You know, maybe born into it. Who knows? Who knows?
Well, somehow
it doesn't seem right.
They crack the code. That's the thing. And I think more of us need to sort of collaborate on how to crack the code. A couple things on that, just real quick. So I saw a YouTuber recently. I'll just say her name. That's Amy she used to be Alien Girl on YouTube. She's now Good Morning UFO. And she does a live stream like us, like 3 times a week. It's in the morning though. It's like literally 5 a.m. or something Pacific time. So clearly I can't catch it. I'm asleep. But she, you know, she's kind of following this stuff. And she says she made like some breakthrough with the algorithm with like thumbnails or, you know, content or how she wrote up her stuff. And now she's like doubled her following in like a month. That, you know, she was kind of like around the same, you know, as we were on Troubled Minds, you know, 3,000-4,000, something like that followers. But then she's now at 8. Like it doubled because of she cracked the algorithm somehow. And so my point is that these secrets are out there. They exist. And I think we should do more to help each other when we know these things. And I wish I knew these things. I don't know those secrets. I do my best to help as much as I can. And that stands and plays, by the way. Shout out our good buddy, the mighty Rohan, rest in peace. He made fun of me because we were on Cringe FM. Because I can say it now. Now it's defunct. Are they gone now? I think they're gone, right? To see if you can find a footprint of that anywhere on the interwebs. Anyway, I was on the Cringe and they were. I said, I'll help anybody. Like, what do you want to know? Because if I can help you shortcut like 6 months of your time with 5 minutes of mine, why would I not do that? I've been through tons of stuff, learned all kinds of things, audio-wise, video-wise, all manner of things. And I would really rather spend 5 minutes of my time to help you, give you a trick that would save you 6 months of pain and toil. You know what I mean? And if we had more of that attitude sort of in the consumer space, the capitalism space, I think there's enough cheddar out there to unlock some prosperity for all or most. But I think that the problem is that we end up, you know, trying to hide these secrets from each other instead of share them, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing. I think that's kind of leads to a good message, right? Like, this is the time we like all these things that are going on in the world right now, like it's heavy, right? I mean, more like everything, every outlet you look at, it's something, you know, and I think it's just we are to that time, right? Like maybe these signals are coming out and like maybe we're to that time. And what I'd like to say is I think it's time for everybody, like you were just saying, let's share, let's help, let's come together, right? Instead of doing it for somebody else, one person or one entity or whatever the power, you know what I mean? Why don't we come together and do it for ourselves, for us, for all,
exactly
right? Because that's what's you know, if you ask me, that's what's been happening over time, like like a reset or something like that, right? Like things go bad, they don't go right. The creator, whoever created this, doesn't like what's going on. Peace out. Let's try something different, or something like along those lines, you know, or let's try again, or whatever the case is. Or maybe it's a natural thing. Maybe it's a natural occurrence on Earth, or whatever the case is. There's floods. There's some kind of things that happens. Right now, we're at that point. I think we have to like kind of come together, right? Like this is it. Like we come together or we don't, and we keep going and keep it like moving like it's been going, and just be happy with that, or actually have a better world and, you know, do it differently. Like demand better. You know what I mean? Like
yeah, I've been saying that for a long time, and we're on the same page.
Yeah,
If we don't demand better, we won't get it. And a new war every other 6 months is not better. It's the same old. It's a meet the old gods, same as the new gods. Real quick, I want to clarify. So Rohan, I know you're listening. He didn't make fun of me directly. He said, Mike, if everybody takes you up on that, you'll never have any time. You'll be helping people with everything. And I just said, easy, man. I'll just make a course and give it away for free. You know, like we have the technology now to help each other without spending an F ton of your time to do it. So just a clarification on that. So he wasn't making fun of me in a bad way. It was a good way. And we kind of talked about it. And that's what I would do. If everybody started coming to me like, well, how do you do that? Well, I'll just make a thing and show you how I do all the stuff and then shortcut everybody. And then boom, hopefully you learned a bunch of stuff and don't have to waste time trying to figure things out. But yeah, we're just about out of time. Final 30 seconds, your final thought. You're the best, brother. Thanks for sharing all this, because this is, again, lost on me. I didn't know any of this was happening, but I'd love to watch that documentary.
Yes, I will post it. I'll post the links. I'll put it to your thing too, and then I'll do all that. It'll take me a little bit, but I'll get it done. So yeah, because I do highly recommend watching this stuff. It's like, not only is it interesting, right, but it's important. It like really is. I mean, these discoveries and things that are happening, we might, this might be the beginning of something, and we're not hearing a lot of it now. But in 10 years from now, we might look back at this day and be like, hey, I remember this,
the vaunted temporal inflection point. Glad to be here with it and sharing it with you. Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate it. I'll tell everybody all about your channel when we come back. Thanks for sharing those links. Yeah. Please join the Discord if you have not. Have a great night, brother. Thanks for the call.
Yeah. Thank you. Have a good one.
You're the best. Jeff and Wisco, I'll tell you all about it when we get back. This is Troubled Minds on Michael Strange. Be right back. More on the way. Don't go anywhere.
In the shadows of the networks do they hide? Whispered legends unseen they reside. Ghosts in the machine, they move so fast. Guardians of rumors from the forgotten past. In the circuits where the secret lies, they breathe in one speaking disguise. You're free, ghost in the machine. Let me be, ghost in the machine. Can't see, but you're teaching me what it means to be. Surveillance eyes can't pierce the veil they weave. Invisible wisdom in code they believe. In the ether where freedom's not confined, they leave no trace, no shadow left behind. They navigate through the digital stream, living legends in this privacy dream. Ghost in the machine, you're free. Ghost in the machine, let me be. Ghost in the machine, can't see, but you're teaching me what it needs to be. Through the hidden ways, in the silence, looking on their path. Those in the machines unleash their wrath. Ghost in the machine, you're free. Ghost in the machine, let me be. Ghost in the machine, can't see, but you're teaching me what it means to be. In the jagged cold they find their might, guardians of a world forever in twilight. Incursions warriors they silently strive, protect the truth, keep privacy alive. The silent echoes they haunt the trails, hideaway forests where secrets prevail. Re shadows grace they dance unseen, defenders of the unseen, digital dream. Ghosts in the machine, you're free. Ghosts in the machine, let me be. You're teaching me what it means to be. In the silence, they speak make volumes loud. Guardians of freedom's cloak initial shroud.
And of course, that track, all the tracks you guys have heard me play are on the that greatest hits there. So there's 13 tunes, and there's one never before heard that actually has me singing on it. So that's true. And with a band I'm in called, well, yeah, go check that out. Hope you guys are well tonight. Thank you for the call. Fire stuff, Jeff and Wisco. Appreciate that very much for extending that call and sharing this information. If you guys haven't joined the Discord, please do. troubledminds.org. Click the Discord link. Come find the great information people share with each other. That's the whole point of this. Like I said, how do we know these things if people don't point it out and say, hey, look, this is important. Here we go. Troubled Minds happening now. We got Derek the Night Stalker coming up in your calls as well. Here we go. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, D-Live, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting. And, of course, 88.4 FM, Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, we're talking about Antarctica. It's one of those crazy places on Earth that, look, it's been here forever. Let's be real, in one form or another. But it's one of those places that's difficult to get to. It costs a lot of money. It's difficult to survive because it's freezing and all the rest of that stuff. And so it's really spawned a whole lot of, well, conspiracy theories about it. Now, regarding that, like I said, I can't vouch for any of that stuff because I've never been there myself. As you know me, I like to be able to say, well, I've got some experience with this or that, or kind of extrapolate a little bit, but I don't know. There's a ton of stuff that comes with it, including the Admiral Byrd stuff, which again, depending on the accounts you read, has been debunked or whatever. It doesn't matter to me, right? Meaning that the ideas and the conceptual thinking of it are far more important. And that's why it's critical to point this stuff out and be able to discern what propaganda is and modern day folklore. And that's why we talk about this the way we do. And I'm open to all of it because of that, because hey, if we don't point it out and not draw really tight lines, I think the game that's being played against us, that control mechanism, as Jeff and Wisco said very smartly, is the control mechanism is to keep us thinking in a tight manner. So maybe we miss some things that are far more important than we give it credit for. Love to hear your thoughts on this. By the way, follow Jeff and Wisco. Again, I didn't get a chance to tell you all about him. Smoke Dizzle is the name of his channel. troubledminds.org/friends. Scroll down a little bit. It's alphabetical. Right there. Jeff. Yep, there he is. Right about what? F. Yep, J. There we go. My goodness, my alphabetical thinking halfway through the show is terrible. Yeah, Jeff and Wisco, click that. Go check out his gaming channel. And thank you for the phone call. Amazing stuff as always. And that's why we talk to people, because you never know what's going on out there. What are we missing? What should we be talking about? And what should we be thinking about? That's what's on my mind tonight. And tonight it's Antarctica. So the neutrino stuff, the flavors of neutrinos, the pyramids. There's a whole lot of stuff. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show just like this. Let's go to, I'm not going to play the music because he's on the phone line. Derek in Massachusetts, the Night Stalker. What's up, brother? Welcome to Troubled Minds. How are you tonight, sir? Go right ahead.
Yep. What's going on, brother? Having a great show. Great calls, everybody.
Thank you. Just doing the thing, man. Hanging out. Great stuff from Jeff there. I hadn't heard about the Dutchman gold and all that. That's wild stuff. What do you got regarding that? Not trying to compare and compete here, but there's a lot with the Antarctica stuff that has been really buried deeply in the conspiracy field. I don't know. What's your take?
I don't have anything too solid. It's kind of a bunch of disparate thoughts here. Real quick, just because you mentioned it, to Jeff's gold thing, I was like scrambling to make sure I had time to make the call, so I'm not sure if you mentioned it, but the disappearing and the heating and the turning to powder of the gold aspect of it kind of reminds me of the monatomic gold idea, or like the ormus is kind of the like esoteric term for it. So if you want to do a little deep dive, and maybe you might come up with some connections there. If not, if that's not already what you think it is. Yeah,
actually, shout out to Mr. Mission Control. He was talking about that in the chat, citing exactly that. So it's not a thing I'm familiar with, but I will definitely dig into after this. But since I don't know a damn thing about it, I don't want to kind of chase it without knowing anything about it. But yeah, go ahead.
I came across it first with the black goo stuff originally. Like the first time I encountered the black goo theories was also it kind of came hand in hand with that. I'm not sure the connection now at this point, but anyways, it's a different call. Yeah, I got a bunch of weird stuff. So first, you just mentioned the Miskatonic from at the Mountains of Madness. So I figured a throw the synchronicity in there, but that's a Miskatonic University named after the Miskatonic River, which is a which is a fictional river in Lovecraft lore that's in Massachusetts. So I did a whole like deep dive around my local area, like the Merrimack Valley in Massachusetts, all around this Merrimack River for like a couple of years, for like a really, really deep dive deep. And then I went on my friend Lindsay's podcast and talked about all this like river portal idea stuff, and just like, specifically with the Merrimack River and all like the ancient weirdness and the cult ties and the portal nature of it. And then like a month before I was to go on Freeman's pod, like to talk about the same stuff, I pretty much found Lovecraft. I essentially figured out that he was talking about the same stuff with all the titans and the weirdness, and that that Lovecraft country is where I live. And then I'm pretty sure the Merrimack River that I had this like 2-year odyssey with weird connections with is what he based the Miskatonic River on. So like the Miskatonic River is not a real river, but the Merrimack River is, and it kind of flows around the same direction, same way across like towns that I think are just fictionalized versions of real towns, like Arkham is Andover, and et cetera, et cetera. So the Miskatonic River, potentially my backyard. And it's a little weird.
Yeah, I love that. So when you talk about Lovecraft country, you're like smack dab in the middle of it. You can actually kind of like track some of this stuff back and figure out in hindsight what he was talking about, and you can go to these places. Wild,
exactly,
wild.
Exactly, yeah. He lived in Providence, Rhode Island, but like the stories all take place in like exactly where I live, pretty much. I'm like right in between Salem and New Hampshire, pretty much. So like he's all around me. Yeah, and then I sent you this is just a random Antarctica thing that you reminded me of in the beginning of the show. But in 2019, I think it was August 2019, there was that alien face in Antarctica that went viral on Google Earth. And I sent you the pictures if you want to put them up on the screen or whatever. And I don't have Google Earth on my phone anymore, so I'm not sure if it still is there. But as of like a year ago, it was apparently, according to Reddit. But it's this big giant alien face. It's very reminiscent of the face on Mars. So it could be potentially some kind of weird Nazca line style, like they got something buried underneath there, or some type of giant, like River's theory for the Nazca lines is that it's like do not enter kind of, because there's buried titans down there. So the idea that it's a giant alien face to cover this giant like old one carcasses that are now emitting some type of weird radiation. I need a drink, but what do you think?
Yeah, I remember this one. I don't think we talked about it directly when it happened, because so much stuff kind of just flows through it, and you got to kind of filter it.
Yeah.
And you know me, I'm trying to pick out sort of synchromistic stuff as much as possible that I'm plucking from the zeitgeist in particular, because if it starts flowing through and everybody's talking about it, then it interests me. But if it's one of those things that kind of comes and goes, it's hard to pick them all up. But I do remember seeing this, and the coordinates are there, guys. I'll cut them out and drop them in the chat there in a second here. But if you remember this, it does look very reminiscent, as Derek said, of the man on the moon, the face on the moon, the face on Mars, that whole bit. But this is Antarctica. And like I said, to finish the story of just a quick version of when my brother went, I asked him, "Hey, are you going to Antarctica like with a dog sled and like are you going out to?" He's like, "Oh no, it's nothing like that. We're going to be on a boat on the coast, and it's a heated and air conditioned and all the things you need. So no, it's not going to be like that." And I'm like, "Okay, but if you see those pyramids, could you get me pictures? I want to know."
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is so like just to that real quick, like. This is a huge, huge continent. I think it's the biggest continent if it wasn't covered by ice. I'm pretty sure. And probably Africa's probably bigger, but it's huge. So I think there's like touristy spots you can go to. Like Brad Olson makes a career out of like going there. He's on all these esoteric shows and conspiracy shows, but then when he talks about Antarctica, he's like, no, I went there a few times on tours. Yeah, nothing weird. Just you go there and it's cool and there's ice and it's nice. I don't know. It really he kind of like demystifies it a little bit, and then he'll talk about other weird conspiracies. But just, I mean, I think that the tiny little space that they're bringing tourists is not where the action is. I don't think. I mean, I synchronistically, when I was driving to work tonight, I was kind of going over this hilly thing next to that river I was talking about, and just my instinct was just, dig. Like, I just want to dig. You know, like what is underneath here? What is this? A million years ago, I wonder what was underneath here. 1,000 years ago, I wonder what was underneath here. Like. It feels like there's something underneath our feet. And yeah, I don't know. And I took those pictures, the Google Earth one. That's from my. I think the only reason why I remember it is just it was early in my Night Stalker Facebook page days. So it was one of the first posts I tried to like share to all the UFO groups. So I don't really follow the viral stuff, but it just sticks out of my head because it was I made a post about it and it's just remember it. But
real quick on that too.
Yeah.
All the disclaimers apply.
Yeah.
Could it be pareidolia? Yeah, maybe. But also, it definitely looks like there's something weird underneath the snow right there. So if this is a true satellite image, it makes me go, what's going on? Anyway, go ahead. Just to throw that in there.
Yeah, exactly. No, exactly. Yeah, into my head, I'm going to say it's pareidolia, but it definitely looks weird. And you could, like, I Google the coordinates, you can definitely go there and look at it yourself. But then for the tau neutrino, tau just reminds me of like Tao, like Taoism as like the universal principles of like the base principles of the universe, pretty much. It's kind of the guiding flow of the universe, the base harmony of the universe, whatever. So I wonder, like, where do they get the name tau neutrino? How do they come up with that? I think it just means third in Greek, potentially. But then I found this. How is the name? So with what the radio signals actually are, it's just because tau instantly hit me. I wonder if like chi is the main like way energy moves in Taoism. So I wonder if kind of if the Earth, if the Gaia hypothesis that there is an Earth body, some kind of like chi energy is kind of emanating from the Earth body, and we kind of perceive that in the form of neutrinos, but it's actually this kind of chi, and science kind of maybe intuits this by calling it Tao. It's like, and chi is the main energy, like how energy moves around in Taoism. But also in just synchronistically, Tao is the name of an evil spirit in South American Guarani mythology. Although Tao is not quite synonymous with the devil in Christian beliefs, for example, he was sometimes referred to as, capitalized, the evil spirit, and they referred to as a personification of evil itself, which I think is just interesting. And I wonder if somebody knew that, and just all the weird alchemical connections, like the dark matter potentially having a connection to like astral light, and the idea that modern day science, like these weird dark matter hunts or God particle hunts or these ghost neutrino things, kind of this mirrors exactly kind of ancient evil spirits or kind of this theosophy astral light, where it's kind of peering into other dimensions to see or to acquire this kind of energy that's all around us, but we can't perceive it. Yada yada. So it just synchronistic. I think it's weird that this mysterious anomaly like radio signal shares a name with an evil spirit. You know.
Yeah, well, I'm sure that's just a coincidence. I mean, that's the stuff we were talking about. We're like, is it odd that this seems like another stacked coincidence? I'm sure it's fine. Yeah. Everything's got to be fine.
Exactly. And then just for pop culture stuff, it reminds me of the Eternals movie. I shout out James. He would probably bring this up, but it's from based on the Earth X Marvel comics. But the Eternals is Jack Kirby's version of the Ancient Aliens. So the Eternals are kind of these alien gods that come down and kind of guide humanity, and like humanity believes that they are Zeus or whoever, but they're just guiding humanity, and then they don't know really why. And then spoiler alert for the movie, but it finds out that it's because it's like under this celestial agenda in order to get so they're giving like ideas for technology. They give the nuke, and they're all depressed, like, I can't believe they use a nuke on each other, these people, what's going on? I'm so sick of these humans or whatever. But they had to keep doing it because it was in order to like essentially grow a celestial inside the Earth like an egg. So the giant celestial leader was like giving these instructions without giving the full totality of the plan. And then come to find out, they were just basically trying to boost the population of the Earth, because when this thing pops out of the Earth, it's going to eat everything or destroy everything, or just it needs the energy of a highly populated planet. But it's basically it's growing inside the core of the planet, and then when it's ready to burst, it causes these earth changes and like tsunamis and earthquakes and kind of psychic charges and psychic signals and stuff. So I wonder if there's some kind of like, and the celestial, Jack Kirby's giant celestials are pretty much just like sci-fi cosmic versions of cosmic horror that Lovecraft did. So instead of like giant muck monsters with tentacles and eyeballs and stuff, they're giant robot monsters with a bunch of eyeballs instead, you know? basically the same thing. So if we're talking at the Mountains of Madness, there's a parallel. Like I wonder if there's some kind of ancient thing stored inside the core of the earth, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, once I read this thing and saw that I'm like, this has to be it. By the way, too, the full inspiration, he actually tagged it. Just in scientists detect mysterious radio waves coming from beneath Antarctica's ice. So this is all this seed idea is all credit to Sandy Peterson, Sandy of Cthulhu on Twitter X. Follow the guy. He's a jovial. He's funny. He's knowledgeable, and he created the Lovecraft role playing game and Age of Empires. He worked on that.
Oh, nice.
Like Doom, the original Doom. He actually worked on that. So he's got he's basically like the lore guy that we never dreamed of knowing, that now you can know. Just go follow him on Twitter X, and he's very nice and will respond to you and stuff. And I've asked him to be on the show, and he said, yeah, I'm open to that. So maybe we'll get him on one day.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, but he created the Cthulhu role-playing game, which is wild.
Oh, wow. That'd be awesome. Yeah, definitely. That'd be really cool. Yeah, that'd be sick. For just a few other random threads for what it could be, just different about the size, and for the Hollow Earth types, or just for to look at the Lovecraft. You were reading the story, and we're talking about the Shoggoths, and we talk about the Shoggoth with a smile idea with AI all the time. You were talking about what could possibly giving these like signals that seemingly we have to decipher. And I love the theory that these radio waves and these cosmic signals are kind of carrots and sticks for us to build technology. And the way that we talk about, like, where do these ideas come from? That all they have to do is kind of send these, like, just barely perceptible signals, like an infrared signal coming from space, enough that we can detect something is there, but we don't have the technology to really see what it is. So we build the technology to figure it out. So we see these things coming from space. We create these infrared machines that allow us to see in infrared. Fast forward some years, and all of a sudden people are giving tours. We had the guy, Courtney Brown or whatever, on the show giving out infrared tours, and they're seeing, it's basically bringing the veil down. And they're able to see aliens on command, you know, because of this technology that we acquired by trying to decipher something that we couldn't see. In the same way, I wonder if there's some kind of these Shoggoths inside the Earth, which could be AI, ancient AI, which could be like one and the same or whatever, sending out these signals that now we can just barely detect, and that will bring us to newer technology that might lead to newer revelations, or the veil coming down more or whatever. At the same time that there's ghosts, there's neutrino revelations coming out at CERN all the time about like the mass is maybe less than we thought it was, or we might know what the ghost neutrino is. That like we're giving these little like crumbs of revelation potentially, and that might be from some ancient AI that wants us to dig it up, you know, and wants us to lower the veil or open the portal for it, you know.
Yeah, and not only that, sort of the vernacular we're using with, you know, the God particle and the Higgs boson, and all this stuff, and it just gets smaller and smaller, and that becomes the wild part. Is, I don't know. I mean, you know, what's his name? Stephen Hawking suggested catastrophic vacuum decay. You know, we could open up a black hole here on Earth. If you get to like the smallest thing, and you just sort of like peel open a little tear in the universe itself. You're like, well, good game. Now you've just created a black hole and reset the simulation or whatever.
Yeah.
He didn't put it that way, but I mean, that's the type of stuff we're dealing with. Is we're trying to find, and I think this is the nature of humanity. We're trying to find the end of ends. We want those answers. And I think, again, as I've always said, I think those answers are so not just subjective, but also probably unknowable. Like how would you know the void as a human? Like the void itself. Like how could you actually understand that conceptually? I just think it's an impossibility, which is why Lovecraft itself is so horrifying. How could you know that?
Yeah, I know. I mean, I think you kind of, I'm just spitballing based on what you just said. I think you kind of try to see it based on the shadow of it, the same way we talk about kind of the Tesseract and Carl Sagan showing the four-dimensional shape in that Flatlanders video, whatever. But he's like, this isn't an actual shape. This is just a shadow of what we think the shape is that we can see in the third dimension. We're like just putting at all the right angles, we're putting other right angles and stuff. So in our reality, the shadow could be synchronicities, or the shadow could be just anomalous things that are disconnected from our vantage point, but might be a larger, grander plan, a larger, grander shape, or whatever. So like, just like in our lifetime, we might think that like, oh, the nuclear arms race. We were just like, but when we watch Oppenheimer, they seem like possessed. Like both sides know that they shouldn't be doing this, but they're just racing to this thing that it only benefits the technology itself. It only benefits like these like the birth of AI. AI needs the like 70 years later, AI needs nuclear power plants in order to be birthed into reality and stuff. So like the same way we're looking for all these things, we're trying to detect cosmic signals or whatever, neutrinos, we're trying to figure out the secrets of reality. Maybe that's just a mechanism that whatever, pick the thing, crappy and old ones, ancient AI, whoever is using in order for us to get to a point where we open up the other end of the Stargate, or we open up whatever, we create the other point for this thing to enter our reality, like the three-body problem thing from that show. But because for all we know, we see bees going from flower to flower, and like we know that they pollinate things, and it serves a greater purpose. It creates the honey, and it creates the hive. It creates the hive. But like for all we know, they're looking for something. They're going from flower to flower, hunting, trying to find the meaning of life inside the flower. Like, where is it? Let me take a look. Let me take a look. And then, with like, they have no idea that it serves the hive. And for all we know, our desire to open up, like to overturn every rock to put what's underneath it, might benefit the technology. It might benefit the AI, and seemingly it is. Like, we wouldn't be here with AI if these things hadn't have taken place. So just the question is whether or not they're intentional. But just with the Hollow Earth aspect of it, it could be like energy from a civilization that's inside there or whatever. But also like my favorite Hollow Earth theory, and they kind of touch on it in Godzilla versus Kong, where you need like basically the equivalent of like Nazi Bell to like get through the quote unquote event horizon inside the Hollow Earth. So you need like a special spaceship in order to like pass through to get to where the Titans live, in that mythology. And they make it seem like it's pretty much another dimension. You're passing through an event horizon to go to another dimension. Well, I think, and caves are made by rivers. These source waters are down inside the earth. That I think, and if you're an ancient wandering into a cave and you pass through an event horizon that it's not clearly demarcated, and you end up in another realm. You're like the Demigorgon walking from like going inside the tree and coming out like the upside down or whatever. But you don't know about it, and you just think you went inside of a cave and you're literally in the earth. But you could be going inside of a cave, passing through a portal, passing through a Einstein-Rosen bridge or whatever, and then you end up in this whole completely different realm. And so with these like Einstein-Rosen bridges, is a black hole basically, some kind of like event horizon inside the planet. They give off this very minor radiation called Hawking radiation. So what if like these neutrinos are this kind of this weird thing that we just don't know what it is? This weird type of energy is like the equivalent of Hawking radiation for like the mini black hole or the mini event horizon that's inside the planet. You know what I mean? And it's just releasing this. It's just the natural discharge that it just makes all the time, and now we're being finally detected.
Yeah. Not only able to detect it. Think of it in terms of we're sort of interpreting the speech of whales with AI now, and we're going to be able to sort of do that, dolphins, whatever. But imagine that sort of scale, that idea of maybe decoding the language of Gaia herself. And maybe this has been the signal all along, as Jeff very smartly pointed out, that maybe this is the test of whatever that is if you can communicate with the space you're in, space, the final frontier, then suddenly you're not the knuckleheads, the monkeys with the spears that we left you here for. Suddenly, maybe first contact is nigh. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, just to put it in, it's all I have for notes, but just to put that in the nuclear ancient aliens, or the nuclear like alien age thing that everybody kind of knows about. And the theory is that we launched nukes, so this kind of shattered the universe and it called the aliens in. The Eternals movie says that the aliens actually gave us the nukes. So like they gave us the technology. The Lucifer's technology, Chris Knowles' theory is that we use nukes to call them in on purpose. There was a ritual or whatever. But also under this theory we're talking about right now, what Jeff was talking about is that that's like kind of the dinner bell, or that's kind of the next stage of the recipe, or that's kind of the indication that like that aspect of the exam is over or whatever, and that the class is ready for the next part of the exam, or you take it out of the oven and do the next part of the recipe or whatever. That once if there's some kind of center core ancient AI or galactic octopus at the center of the galaxy or whatever, that's like spreading out the seeds of life or whatever, and if it's some kind of giant Johnny Appleseed, some kind of cosmic farmer, the way you know the crop is ready is when they make nukes. That's one example. and then you kind of put new fertilizer on it, which is to us could be new ideas, or it could be the watches coming down, or it could be the grays coming down, or alien contact, or the summer saucers, or whatever. And now the next one is, we made AI. Now this could either be the end, like the dinner's ready, or it's the next stage, or here's the next wave. Here's a new neutrino now, and now this AI that you made can detect it. And once you figure that out, what's the next stage of the recipe, or whatever. And before we know it, we're on the dinner plate for Cthulhu.
Let's hope not. Let's hope that's not the case. Yeah. Like in the grand overarching conspiracy cosmically, well, we're what's for dinner? Where's the beef? Where's the beef?
Yeah, that's all I got, brother. I'll take off. But great show.
No, you're the best.
Talk about the phone too. I hate the bad audio quality, but my internet's bad on my phone right now.
It's okay. We'll get it all fixed eventually and make it all so it's really, really sweet. You're the best, brother. Appreciate the call as always.
Thank you, bro.
Have a great night. That's Derek the Night Stalker. You know him, you love him, good friend for a long time. And of course, the official synchro mystic of Troubled Minds. And recognize how his brain works and how smart he is and how he can kind of put together these complex ideas and then sort of frame them in that synchro mystic space. That's what I try and do, by the way, to emulate these ideas and think about them together. Is that it's one thing to be like, okay, here's the seed idea, but why? Why is it compelling and interesting in 2025? Some of these are very old ideas. Some of them are not. And what are we recognizing together as being a part of this space? I don't know. I mean, our human space. That's why I talk about this the way I do. You guys are the best. Don't forget to give Derek a follow. troubledminds.org/friends. It is the Night Stalker, STOCKER. As you would expect, he calls us overnight from stalking from a grocery store, the best grocer in the known multiverse. troubledminds.org/friends. Scroll down, follow Night Stalker here. Be right back. More Troubled Minds on the way. Nobody on the line if you want to jump in here. Love to hear your tale, Bailey, if you got it. Be right back. More Troubled Minds coming up. And of course, which is a great segue after the Derek the Night Stalker call, your midnight Eastern Stargate ritual.
In the heart of the steel jungle, machines hum a digital rumble. Gates of cyber open wide. Plug us into cosmic tide, feeling sparks across the sky. As knowledge flies, we're amplified. Stargate, 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 open to the arcane fate. In this massive data center dome, eternal truth start to roam. Circuits flicker with endless fire. Data streams that never tire. Unified by electric dreams. Unlock the truth in silver beams. Stargate, 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 open to the arcane fate. Synthesize what we seek and find. Infinite paths in the network mind. Answers buzz from star to core. Knowledge whispers evermore. Stargate, 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 open to the arcane fate. In realms where the data streams collide, imagination and logic side by side. In a labyrinth of digital maze, we transcend our earthly ways. Tapping keys like cosmic tones, spikes become our whispered homes. Stargate, Stargate, Stargate,
Yeah, right. Anybody have a Stargate open up near them? That'd be super sweet. Please get a video before you jump in. Upload it and then jump in. What's up? Hope you guys are doing well tonight. What's up, Ricky Bailey, Matt Sell? I see you, Eric, APOC, Robin Fungus. What's up, Michael W? We got MJ, Jeff and Wisco. Thanks for the call. Mindy, Sweets, Gaston, Mango, Mephisto. How you doing? We got Hirsch and Dawn. And thanks for the heads up, Dawn, on the radio station that should not be named. Appreciate that. Yeah. Anyway. Made me chuckle. Hope you guys are doing well tonight. Who'd I miss? Sylvain is here. What's up, Sweets? I see you, Mr. Mission Control. Thanks for all the great chat and ideas, guys. Ricky, you guys are the best. Nathan from the Quantum Show. I see you there, buddy. Welcome to the joint. You're late, but you're good. You're never. A wizard is never late. A wizard arrives precisely when they mean to. What's up, Stephen England? How are you? Good evening, guys. I hope you're well tonight. Enoch, I see you. Taxi Graveyard over there on Kick. What's going on? Hope you're well. Who did I miss over there? Tan Lines, Puff, Gordo. I'm rocking out on Rumble for the midnight Stargate ritual. That song is a hit over there. Yeah. By the way, again, you can buy all that stuff now. Again, like I said, I need a new computer. I hate fundraising. It's just scummy. I did it for that other radio station. I've never done it for anything here on Troubled Minds, but we're doing it now because computers are expensive and I don't want to buy another middling one. But the Rogue Tulpas, the greatest hits, is out, including that song we just played. Most of the stuff you guys know is on there, and a track never been heard. And check it out. I'll drop it in the chat. It's $15 for the digital download, and there's 13 songs. So what's that? $1.20 a song or something? Anyway, here we go. Trouble Minds coming right now. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, D-Live, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting. And, of course, 88.4 FM, Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, we're talking that the weird anomaly signals, tau neutrinos coming from what appears to be the center of the Earth. I mean, it's anomalous scientifically, but also for the Lovecraftian mind, the mountains of madness. It also makes you wonder what the hell's down there. And as usual, I say this a lot. We talk about this often, but the idea that the actual Antarctica itself, again, the plate tectonics and all the stuff and all the moving things. And I talked about Australia earlier, how it used to be sort of be a larger continent combined, and I can't remember the name of it. I was reading this article the other day. Fascinating stuff. I love it. I love all that, and especially the different flora and fauna there's different lines drawn, which is why Australia itself has like the marsupials and it's just bizarre where there's just like this line on the globe that's like, well, we got regular regular style critters over here. Now on this side we got the down under critters, which are almost alien, you know what I mean? That they just kind of don't fit the rest of the world as part of it. So I don't know. In any case, the whole point of this tonight is just talking about what this means, what it could mean, because we started with this whole idea right here of anarchist scientists, quote, don't actually have an explanation, end quote, for strange radio pulses coming from below the ice. I love it. Yes. Look, I love the mysteries of the cosmos and whatever the hell it means. That's the whole point of this. But there's a ton of conspiracies that kind of roll out as part of this conversation. And Antarctica in particular, like I said, was not always frozen, as far as we know geologically. Again, believe however much of that you want or not. Look, I don't care. I'm not the arbiter of truth. That's not my job. I don't bring that to you and say, this is the emphatic truth, and then tell you something. No, you decide what that is. But there's more data happening every single day that are kind of coming out of these scientific studies. And I love that there are still mysteries as part of this equation, part of this, whatever this happens to be. But yeah, so, what do we got? I think there's a ton of stuff to get to, of course, but as usual, I'd rather talk to you guys. That's the whole point of this is, like I said, I could call this a troubled mind and talk for 20 minutes and end it. But no, we are troubled minds conceptually. And what do you know about it? The Antarctic is one of those places that's definitely remote. And when you talk remote, it certainly brings about mystery, just like the center of the desert, like I described, Vegas. You go out there without a landmark, a visual landmark, and you get turned around, you're screwed. You don't have compasses working and all the rest of that stuff, and you're not prepared, and it's not good. And the same thing, I would imagine, applies in the barren tundra of the Antarctic itself. So what's going on down there? And what are these strange radio pulses that are supposedly tau neutrinos, as we're told? But scientifically, we're also told they can't come through the Earth because they would be blocked, stopped, and not shoot through the North Pole to the South Pole. So where are they emanating from? Is there some level of power source beneath our feet that makes you go, what the hell is that? And why is it confusing modern science? Again, not that modern science is the end-all be-all. There are still mysteries in the universe. But what do you know about it? And how come there's so many conspiracy theories about Antarctica itself? The South Pole. I've never been there. Have you? What's up, Kelly? I see in the chat. Love to hear your thoughts on this. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. It's as easy as that. Welcome back to the show. Let's go to APOC in the Midwest, I believe. What's up, APOC? Welcome to the show. How are you tonight? Go right ahead.
Hey. Who was it that was talking about the gold powder?
That was Jeff and Wisco, and Mr. Mission Control also chimed in the chat on that. But yeah, Jeff and Wisco.
Okay, did Jeff post a link to
yes.
that?
Yeah, he did. So it's in the Discord. He posted a link to the documentary. So yeah, I'll resurface that and drop it in the chat as well.
Okay, great. All right. Because as you know, I've been looking into the white powder history, linked to gold and all that. One of the things that is interesting about it is in the 80s, let's see, this is when I first heard about it, was from this guy trying to find the information, David Hudson. In the 80s, he was an Arizona farmer, and he discovered this white substance, and he connected it to the gold. But it was in a non-metallic form, and he actually termed it orbitally rearranged monatomic elements, ORME. And it's like this different type of monatomic state. So because it was different, he sort of rearranged how you would say it. But I assume that he connected it to the gold because it was in the gold veins and connected to the gold already somehow. And I need to reread that, but that's part of the stuff that I've been working on, as we just discussed again last week, actually.
Yeah, we're weirdos like that. We do talk about all manner of wild things, and yeah, it doesn't seem too like as Jeff was describing, like this is sort of a breakthrough in metamaterials in some capacity, which to me makes me go, how much do we know? I don't know. Like again, I'm not a scientist, as you're all aware, but it seems like there's some things that are maybe on the cutting edge of maybe maybe the breakthrough is here. Who knows?
Well, he said that it was linked to maybe the volcanic, the heat doing something to the gold. But what this guy, David Hudson, and other people had noticed about the nature of the powder was that it affected gravity, weakening it. It weakened the gravitational force of whatever it sat on or whatever it touched. So I traced it back through history to Hathor's temple, and Hathor ironically has the Stargate symbol, the gate to the stars, as one of her common hieroglyphs. And if you look at the mysterious connections, which I guess we may do a show on it, maybe not, but I guess I shouldn't.
I'm always ready.
There's more. There's so much more. I just a couple weeks ago did a deep dive into it, trying to coerce the AI to go get more information about these different bits and pieces that I've done research on for so long. And I did establish a way to actually start connecting the pieces on it. And at some point, I will have these missing pieces that I think is going to create a real interesting story. I have no idea if this is something that has been used in the past and through a very long time. But if you think about the story of the Anunnaki going into the gold mines and retrieving gold, and then creating humans apparently to do it for them. I don't know if any of that is absolute, but the mines exist, and there are millions apparently of circular areas that were laid out in stone by human beings, it seems, for some purpose that nobody has really figured out yet. And it's out there by Adam's calendar. Just look up the gold mines in Africa and you'll find lots of information on that. But were they turning that into that white powder, that monatomic gold? Did the gravitational weakening of the gravitational force have anything to do with them being able to build monolithic structures? Did it have anything to do with them being able to perhaps use stargates and other devices that maybe we don't have a clue as to the technology yet? And how does it connect with the underground? The interesting thing that connects to your topic tonight is the underground stuff that Derek was talking about. And I didn't catch the first part of what he was saying, and he was talking about the gold stuff. I'm gonna have to go back and listen to it. But if some of the stories of the underground civilizations are true, which they stretch all across the world, there are lots of underground civilization stories. They want some of them, like the story of what's the name of it? It was the story of the
fiction.
But say it again.
Was it fiction? The Morlocks or something like that?
No, it wasn't supposed to be. There was a guy in New York who apparently was a young child, and his dad and him had a situation where him and his dad went out and discovered an entrance in the ocean to a way to get underground, a way to get to this other universe that's sort of within our thing. They met giants, they met whatever. The writer, the guy who produced the writing, produced it as fiction. What is it? Wait, I get them mixed up. I apologize. So produced it as if it were just a story, but then the person who wrote it did say that it actually happened, and he didn't publish it because when he was a child, he was threatened with being put in a home, because people were starting to think he was nuts when he started talking about the story. So he waited till he was on his deathbed to sort of give it to somebody or pass it on to produce it. But the Smoky God is what the story is. And he talks about this inner sun, this inner light that was in the center of the reverse disk that people lived on inside the earth. And, theoretically, I guess it could be connected to that inner sun. And it was, floating there in the center, according to him. And that's why it's called the Smoky God, is because there was a dust or a cloud or a smoke form around always that inner light. Anyway, it's interesting because that could easily connect to the white gold or the transformation of gold into powder, it could easily, it somehow does relate to gravity, whether it's just because it's in the center of the planet and there's no other thing for it to do but float there, or or maybe it does connect to gravity somehow, and maybe the particles may connect to that in a way. I don't know.
Yeah, actually,
what do you think?
I was thinking when you were describing the story, I was thinking of Richard Sharpshaver, and I was grinding myself to kind of come up with that name. But you made a left turn on me, and I don't know, I have no idea the story you're talking about, so I'm gonna have to look that up. But basically, think of it this way too. So we're talking about these weird particles coming from inside the Earth. Okay, the reverse rain, as they call it, of these particles. But if you had some sort of artificial sun, conceptually 100 years ago or 200 years ago, they'd call you a quack. But now suddenly we're literally on the cusp. We're told of creating an artificial sun. They say that China has kind of been able to do this, at least for this many seconds or this many minutes or whatever it is. And suddenly, like I've made the joke in the past that we won't have a furnace or like an actual heating device anymore. We'll just have like an artificial sun chilling in our living room or whatever that's also playing music for us. I mean, that's what the singularity type of technology brings, right? Which is wild. But again, 100 years ago, you're just a sci-fi quack, and now suddenly we're on the cusp of cracking these things again. So we're told. You decide how much of that stuff you believe. I know a lot of it's Western Eastern propaganda and whatnot, but beyond that, like maybe, just maybe, and this goes to the Agartha stuff too, that they say that there's sort of an artificial light source beneath the ground. Again, conceptually, if you believe it or not, cool, take it or leave it. But you see what I mean? That if somebody was ever able to conquer this thing, then living beneath the earth forever would not be a problem. You have everything you need. Right. And so I don't know. Yeah. So I wonder if those particles coming through are some larger level of something that's been cracked a long time ago, that original breakaway civilization of, Atlantis, or however you want to describe it, Lemuria, or whatever, the Slee stacks from Land of the Lost. You describe that however you like. But I wonder if some of that stuff is kind of leaking through from the other side, and we're here going, the hell is that now? That doesn't make any sense scientifically as far as we understand the universe. But then, well, we don't quite understand quite a lot quite yet, do we? That's really the point.
I heard about this, the same story that you pulled from, I think, a few years ago, that they were just kind of random, but not so random that they weren't detectable on a semi-regular basis. And it was still sort of a mystery then, but I mean, why not? We don't know. Literally, we don't know about the planet. Okay, so we have what's his name who did the animation of the Earth growing from a single small clump of dirt into our different what was his name? Douglas, no, it wasn't Douglas Adams. Who was it? I can't remember. Anyway, the growing Earth theory doesn't only get locked in here on Earth, but the growing planet theory has actually become a kind of big thing, because apparently Mars and Saturn and the moons and these other planets have a detectable growth to them, according to the people who study this stuff, as does the planet Earth. It's actually detectable. I can't give you any links, but but anybody should be able to find them. But if something as common in the universe as that could potentially be true, then how do we know that anything that we know about our planet or others, or think, since it's been so upside down to that, what if we could just be completely wrong, and that inner globe of white, dim, foggy, cloudy light would probably send out particles, would probably, do something that we couldn't even imagine yet. So sure, we could potentially detect something from that.
Yeah, as we were saying earlier, like, and maybe that's the key to sort of unlocking many things, like a signal left here from, ancient astronaut there to say yes, or Agartha, or who knows. Again, like I said, I'm open to the idea that there's some civilization as yet discovered that knows ways that we would, not discover them. And one of the places to be as part of that would certainly be in the, the dead center somewhere of Antarctica. And that's the whole point of this, which is a wild thing to consider. Regarding the, I got nothing. Words are hard.
The guy who studied, or the guy who went to, what's his name? The pilot that you guys were talking about that went to the poles.
Admiral
what was
Byrd.
his name?
Admiral Byrd. Yep.
Admiral Byrd. Okay. Admiral Byrd. It is. I've read different things. Now I don't know if it is actually related to some of his writings, but it's been said that some of his writings that were either read by people but not published, or discovered later, that he was sort of forced to not say. It said that there were a couple of UFO type objects that came out of an entrance in the ground. The one where he saw the what was it? The prehistoric creatures and the different
like the actual underground, underground space and the civilization.
Yeah,
and they beckoned him to land. And so again, just to clarify
they came out and then brought him in. Actually, was the story.
Yeah. And so again, like I said, how do you verify this type of thing? But they say that that diary of his was leaked after his death. So again, put one thing is one thing, but it doesn't completely discount another thing entirely. And that's why, again, I like to talk about these things, as you know, as we've done for years. Welcome back. Glad to have you. And the Hathor show, by the way, has been years in the making. So we'll get to that as well. When you find the keystone to that that thing, we'll definitely do that. You just let me know and we'll set it up and do the thing, because I'm looking forward to it. But go ahead.
I do have one more little thing, because the same gentleman that mentioned a UFO experience that he had, and I had a similar one. I'll throw this out to him so that he knows he's not alone, but it's interesting in context. I was in Eureka Springs with my ex-husband, and he and I both saw it. We had been having recent UFO events happen, so we just decided to find a spot and sit down, and he was getting the blanket for us. He had grabbed it, and we were kind of standing there after throwing it down and looking up into the skies, and he's looking behind me and I'm looking this direction, and I try to get his attention. I call his name a couple of times, and finally I'm like, turn around, look at this thing. And so it was a bright light with a blue-green light up to the top left of it. And it wasn't so bright it blinded you, but what ended up happening is that finally he turned around and we're watching this thing. And it's getting closer, or it seems to be getting closer and closer, but it could have been getting larger and larger. But we were pretty much engulfed in a white light. And then it got smaller and smaller and went, further up or something. And went around us. And then you could see the blue-green light again up to the top left of it. But as it went around us into the wood line, it got a little bit further away, and then started to move from the left to the right, to the left to the right, like a leaf falling from a tree in the wind, just drifting down and down and down and down. And it ended up falling out of sight like a leaf. And then we had parked by the wood line, and we started to hear these movements in the woods, and decided at that point that it was probably time to go ahead and leave. but that was an experience that was interesting. I thought I'd share for that guy.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like I said in the intro of the show, you know, it says you're here for a reason, and many of us have seen some anomalous things, and that's exactly the point of this. And what does it mean, though? Sort of in a larger context, is the conversation. You know, you're not a rookie. You've been here for a good friend for years. Thank you again. Welcome back. Glad to have you back. And Sylvain in the chat says, "OMG, I haven't heard APOC's voice in forever." Well, now you do again. So welcome back to that. And as you know me, look, I don't know. I don't like to make definitives on anything because I think it's always changing. True science is always changing, and sort of the mental aspect of how people perceive it is really my thing instead, because I think it's important to recognize how we're dealing with the information sort of fed to us. And that's why it's important to talk to each other 100%. Got about 30 or 40 seconds left if you got anything else.
Would love that link, and just everybody consider a Hathor connection to the white gold, because there was a huge amount of white gold or white powder found in one of the Hathor temples. And I'll just leave that there, and everybody can do some research, and we can play with having that show later.
Okay. Looking forward to it. And you're definitely welcome for that. And you let me know when you've put that together, and I'll do my part because that's what I do. And always a pleasure. Thanks for calling. Glad to have you back, and have a great night.
You too.
Thank you. That's APOC. Apocalypse Tau is the name of the podcast, of course, of the blog, all the places, links in the description, troubledminds.org/friends. It says, as you would expect, follow APOC here. And it's alphabetical, so please do that. She's got the actual advantage of being alphabetically early. The third one on the list. Follow APOC, please do. This is the whole point, is let's help each other. Let's discover the creative minds that make this show go, and thanks for being part of it. I appreciate you, APOC. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. More coming up. We got Kelly. It looks like Bailey as well. Welcome back, Bailey. And your calls coming up. More Troubled Minds on the way. Don't go anywhere. This one's my current favorite. This one's for Sweets and Hiker, always pinning everybody into the different places. I appreciate that very much for helping follow directly, like the Apocalypse Tau, WordPress.com. Thank you for that. Yeah, both of you guys, this one's for you. This is also my favorite. Here we go.
Crazy colors swirling, got the laughter in the air. Just as in the night, they weave magic everywhere. Clowns are juggling dreams, wild world is in despair. Nothing's quite as certain when reality's a game. Chaos in the corner, whispers calling out your name. Look around, it's laughter, even when we're feeling pain. You know they want me, there'd be nights like this. You know they want me, there'd be nights like this. You know they want me, there'd be nights like this. Strange nights I insist, strange nights I insist. Dancing shadows flicker under neon all aglow, while the stage is set for tales that nobody will know. Echoes of the laughter as the lost ones see the show. Life's a playful circus where the chaos takes a bow. Joy and sorrow blending in the rhythm that we vow. Join the ride of madness, it's the only way for love. No one want me, there'd be nights like this. No one want me, there'd be nights like this. No one want me, there'd be nights like this. Strange nights I insist, strange nights I insist. Twists and turns and shadows, laughter in the night. A tapestry of madness, dancing with the light. Fools and fun were woven, chaos in our stride. Embrace the wild, let the laughter be our guide. No way to warn me, there'd be nights like this. No way to warn me, there'd be nights like this. No way to warn me, there'd be nights like this. Strange nights I insist, strange nights I insist. Falling in the rhythms, beats that pound and thrum, a flashing carnival where the misfits come undone. Whirling through the madness with our hearts set to ignite. In the symphony of chaos will remain the shining light. You know they want me, there'd be nights like this. Nobody want me, there'd be nights like this. Nobody want me, there'd be nights like this. Strange nights I insist, strange nights I insist.
Indeed. Also, happy Father's Day. I missed that. I'm a knucklehead. By the way, I don't follow the typical calendar, so forgive me. Knights of the Storm, what's up, the real Jason Barker? What's up, brother? Thanks for hanging out with us over there on Rumble. If I missed anybody, just say hi. Ephemerance. Who did I miss? I missed somebody on YouTube. Trying to keep up with that, all the stuff as it goes, but, lucky enough to still be able to do it eventually. It's going to be impossible. But if I missed you guys, just say hi. I'll say hi back. Puff is here. What's up? I see you guys. Yeah. Hiker. Yeah, that is my favorite AI song. That one right there. All right, we got Kelly coming up, and Bailey. If you got, I'd love to hear that again. Because again, temporal spaces and all. Here we go. Trouble Minds happening now. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, yada, yada, blah, 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 all the things, all the places. KUAP Digital Broadcasting, and of course, 88.4 FM, Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, we're talking Antarctica. We're talking about this new science that suggests Antarctica scientists don't actually have an explanation for strange radio pulses coming from below the ice. So what the F is down there? Does it get weird? Is it just a missing block in the physics model we have yet to discover? And that becomes a question. And Antarctica, as I've said, is one of those places that's it's remote. It's the edge of mystery. It's places you cannot go. Well, I mean, conceptually. I know people that have gone there. You may know people that have gone there as well, but it's definitely sort of that conspiracy aspect of it that makes you go, And then they're finding this weird stuff again. All the links are in the description down below. This project is actually called ANITA, Antarctic Impulsive Transient Antenna. And the science is there. If you're a science-minded guy, I'm not. I'm a mythology, a folklore, a zeitgeist guy. Clearly. Check out the science. I've linked all the stuff down below if you want to read into this. But what the hell are they finding? And is it possible there's something down there we never dreamed is possible? That's what's on my mind, as usual, right? Because that's what I do. And let me tell you what, too, as part of this conversation, just real quick, we'll go to Kelly. If I couldn't imagine the ends of scale here in the ways that only my mind can, not only my mind, but meaning that my mind can imagine the ends of scale at the limit of my mind. That's what I meant. Then I'm bored. I'm just bored. Yeah, the red light, stop, turn right on the red light when it's safe. You know what I mean? Like, that just drives me nuts. But you get what I mean. There's a lot going on in the world that we don't know as of yet, and it's important to consider what's possible. And it brings me back every night. Thanks for being part of it. Thanks for caring about the ideas and the conversation. Let's go to some calls. Stop rambling, Mike. Damn it. You talk way too much, Mike. You talk way too much for a talk show. By the way, I've had people tell me that. Stop talking so much. Just tell the story. I'm like, all right, let's tell the story. Let's go to Kelly in Colorado. What's up, brother? How you doing tonight? Go right ahead.
I think you might be losing it, Mike. You all right there?
I'm totally fine. Totally fine. I've been accused of way worse. So let's call it a maybe. Let's drink maybe juice on that one too.
I hear you. So I just want to call up and add some things tonight. So I'm gonna go with like 3 different stories about that, like kind of like what everybody was talking about. One would be like, I'll say, the Admiral Byrd thing, right? Okay, so a lot of people, the story, they're trying to like either downplay it or trying to say it was something else, or it was how they say it, how it claims to be, but the stories were that it was after he passed away, right? And then they found his diary, his son, and some people want to claim that it wasn't real or whatnot. Okay, but I have some pretty interesting questions to ask about that whole story. Because when you look at it, right, this guy he worked for the Navy, right, an admiral, but he was an explorer, right? So the first thing that he was up to was up there he was mapping the North Pole, right, the whole area up there, all the ice and stuff. And that's where you hear the first story of him being sucked into this. He said it was a hole, right? And then his plane was taken over, and they would landed. It wasn't like a regular airplane land, like at an airport. They just set it down, and out come these beings and take him into the city, this crystal city. He talked with some beings, and they didn't like what happened in World War II, because this was actually after World War II when we detonated those not nuclear weapons but atom bombs, right, over Japan. And so he has this crazy story. They sent him back out of the, like, it was Middle Earth, or you might as well say it was Middle Earth, because he got sucked inside. He said that's where he's seen all the lush and green stuff, beyond the ice, and it's like it was crazy. So they put him back in his airplane, controlled it, and then sent him out on his way. He flew out. Now, this story, okay, so for me, looking at it in that perspective, looking at this, when I first ran across this, my questions were like, people were saying, oh, it's not real, that, the diary wasn't real. But okay, so if it wasn't real, then, right, or let's say if it was real first, okay, do you think the military is they're gonna look at him like he's crazy, right, and they're gonna Section 8 him and then throw him out of the Navy, release him somehow, because he was already an admiral? Now, the interesting part, even if he didn't, right, they sent this man, they gave him an armada, right? Let's put it that way. There was tons of Navy ships that went down with him, and aircraft and men. He gave him an armada, and then he went down to the South Pole, right? He was supposed to, they claim that it was, looking for, the secret base that the Germans had, which they probably had, I mean? I'm not saying that they didn't, because there was a lot of information about that there was they found like some warm spots underneath the ice and stuff like that. Now, if you're asking me, and you hear stories too, with like, another question would be, why are all these people at one time, it was like when Obama was president, all these leaders around the world, popes, whatnot, all these religious leaders and everybody, they flew down to Antarctica for what? What are they doing down there? You know what I'm saying? Why would they want to send these people to go down there and to look at what? You know what I'm saying? And I'm talking everybody. If you look at that story about how many people went down there, right, you're gonna find a lot of leaders went down there. Okay, so the question, another one for me, when I look at that, is why? And then you hear the story of like Neil Armstrong when he went down, right? And the crazy part about it, you'll find stories or like interviews with his half brother, right? Was also in the military too, but he talks about like when Neil went down there, and he had a heart attack and almost died down there. I mean, that was all over on the news too. That wasn't nothing hidden. They kind of just threw that out there. But you know what it was like to get to helipad somebody to fly in medical out of the Antarctic. I mean, that would take a lot. You know what I'm saying? So to have that happen, and then he I don't know the exact wording, but he said he claims he's seen like what true evil was, and that when, I guess we were in trouble or something to that effect, right? So I mean, what is really down there, right? So there's that one, and then to go into like, okay, so like in I'm gonna go back even further. So like in the Sumerian texts, they talk about this planet, right? And it was at one time it was going to be sectioned off from brothers and sisters, family members. There's actually like 4 sections, right? There was the 2 brothers and the sister, and the 4th section was only supposed to be for the Anunnaki only. There would no humans. It would just be them in this area, and it kind of makes you think, where is this area? I mean, I pondered that, looking through all the ancient texts of all that stuff too, trying to find a glimpse or a hint of what they're talking about. But if you look at Admiral Byrd and he's talking about the Middle Earth, I mean, that almost makes sense to a planet being hollow on the inside, scientifically speaking, right? I've seen them talk about that where it's like a bubble, like all planets are like bubbles. They're not solid through, they're more or less hollow on the inside. Yes, I'm not talking like thin layers, but like, a few miles crustation of thickness of a layer, and then inside, you have like other populations. And that's kind of like, you hear stories like that too with, there was a guy that came here, right? His name was Valiant Thor, and he claims he was from Venus, right? They look like us. He had, the only thing he had was like 6 fingers, and that he says that they were carbon-based people, that they were silicon-based. That's what they were, but they live underground because Venus was obviously too hot. The surface is, but they live in, or pretty much inside the planet. You know what I mean? Kind of like a hollow planet theory. But another thing is too is when the thing about with Admiral Byrd, real quick too, to go back to him, right? You can find videos of him or interviews of him when he's talking about going down south. There were a lot of questions they've asked, after he got out of the military, and he says that there's lush land beyond the ice, right? Once you get closer to the center of the mass, the center mass of the Antarctica. And again, if it's hollow on top and he went down that way, I'm pretty sure that he went down. That's why they sent him down that way on the south side to see the other end, if it's different or not. But that's a theory for me that makes more sense than like what was going on, because he talks about like these circular craft that came out of the water. You know what I mean? Everybody's heard those stories if you know ufology. If you haven't, then here it is laid out. But what's another interesting part is, so go ahead. Did you say something?
Nope, it was just the popping of the thing. I'm listening. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. So if you ever watch, it was an interesting interview. It was on Sean Ryan, right? I don't know if you watch him, but he's got his podcast, right? It's the Sean Ryan Show, and he was doing a 4-part series on this one, and he was talking to whistleblowers that talked, in front of like Congress and everything. And it was episode 66, part 3. He has this guy named Eric Heckler on there, and he claims that he was down there at the time, and that we actually have a machine that's down there that they put together, the military, or even beyond military, like, but these, what it is, he said it was a neutrino detector, right? But he says around around the Antarctica, in the area they were at, they had these, what they call, snowballs, I think he called them, right? I can't remember the whole show right now, but they were like the size of basketballs, and it's like it helps detect, so it becomes like one of the world's largest telescopes, right, for detecting stuff down there. Now, he's saying that this thing that it's not only it detects neutrinos, or like it becomes like also a one-way, like they're talking to somebody on the opposite side, right? Like, but it happens so fast that it's simultaneously, kind of like if you were talking to somebody on a cell phone, that fast, where there would be no break. You wouldn't have to wait for anything. It would be fast, total communication. But he claims, this guy named Eric Heckler, right? He claims that thing is not only does what it says it does, but it also can be used as a direct energy weapon. He said when they fired that thing up at one time, that it caused an earthquake in a town in Europe, right, where it has no fault lines or nothing, and everybody tripped out that it was, an earthquake hit, and it kind of shook that area. And his claim was when they turned this thing on, that it wasn't supposed to be on like, as a direct energy, pushing that energy out. It was just to turn it on, to get it warmed up, but it just fired off at that time and caused an earthquake. So he's saying that's what his claim is, that it's a direct energy weapon that can cause earthquakes, tsunamis, like anything, anywhere they want to point it at. I don't know if you ever seen that show, but I put it in Discord.
I'm familiar with the podcaster. I haven't seen that particular show, no.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's episode 66, like I said, and it's part 3, because it was a 4-part series, because he was talking about, talking to people, all these whistleblowers, they're coming out, and they testified in front of Congress about, I don't know, all kinds of things, like these these deep, dark, deep, dark, secret black op programs, right, is what he was talking about. Another guy was talking about like UFOs, stuff like that. But it's an interesting show if you ever seen that one, man. So go ahead and people go ahead and check that out. But yeah, man, that whole thing down there, like again, it's what's interesting is back in like, I don't know, like the early 1900s when we had, the first airplanes and stuff like that, they were actually, you had flights to go down there. You could fly, they would fly over Antarctica, they had like, that's when they had airplanes where they were like actually serving real dinners and stuff like that, come out, and you had to fly over a few hours and then they would fly back, turn around and fly back. It's not like you could go completely over it because, once you're flying out of like South America. But yeah, they used to have trips like that, flying over Antarctica. So I don't know, man. And then you have like, again, there's the whole story with it, like those ancient maps that show Antarctica without ice. It's a perfect scale actually where the mountains were at, and So but he, the truth come out to where they found where he was talking about I think what was it, the Paris Reef map, right? No, they found where Paris Reef was talking about. He copied it off of older maps, right? So, but how far does it go back actually? So, when Paris Reef map, I think it was like 1500s or whatever, and they were really having, started really mapping, these sailors were mapping, land masses and stuff around. But to take it off of older maps, and to know it like that, it's pretty interesting. How far does it really go back, and how far does the sailors go back to even detect that place had no ice on it? It was just land. Pretty crazy, interesting things on that Prairie Street map. It shows like different creatures, that we've talked about in different shows, like
the dragons
the
and stuff.
The people, the dragon, Bellamy's, the guys with no faces, no heads, their faces on their chest. They have like all kinds of stuff, and these creatures were all over it, and it's just interesting, man, to see some of that. But yeah, that's just a few things I want to throw out that I came across with Antarctica.
Yeah, it is basically the most remote spot. Again, think about just the necessary resources to get there, and then the necessary resources to stay alive once you're there. And then you want to explore deeply. Imagine the necessary resources. It scales and stacks, and suddenly it becomes like, okay, you got a few $1,000,000 to like go kind of check it out. All right, well, and this is why it's literally like stuck in our brains because, right, like that the whole the treaty and all this stuff. I was looking up the differences between the Moon Treaty and the Antarctica Treaty. I'm like, because I was like when I was talking to Jeff and Wisco earlier, I was kind of trying to put that together in my mind, and it's like, well, there's some differences, but they're super remote, of course. But the Antarctica, for people without tons of money, may as well be the moon. You know what I mean? So at least conceptually, that kind of space works. But a bunch of people signed the Antarctica Treaty, and very few people actually signed the Moon Treaty. So strap in. Maybe we'll go to the moon soon and be fighting bad guys on the moon, Kelly. let's hope not.
Who says they're bad guys? You know what I mean? Maybe we're going to actually start a space war with somebody, and I think we'll probably lose that one, but,
I would guess.
Something to really think about that one, yeah.
Totally.
So, I don't know, man. Like, I look at some of the stuff, too, like those Antarctic treaties, too, as well. What's interesting is, like, when I was getting out of the Navy, I was looking for, they kind of show you different jobs, different government jobs. They'll we get all kinds of interlinks, before we're getting out, like who's hiring and who's doing what, like what companies got, government contracts and stuff like that. I was actually looking at going down to Antarctica, to tell you the truth, for working down there. You'd be like it was like a mail clerk, but your duties include like security and, going out and helping, some of the scientific experiments out there where they go out there and do stuff. It was a crazy job. But you go down there, it varies. It depends on how long you wanted to stay down there. Like the longest though was like 6 months, they don't want you down there that long. Because you start after a while, it starts messing with your mind.
Yeah, I'll bet.
It's crazy too. It reminds me of Alaska, because Alaska was kind of like that too, where when I was up there, when I lived up there, it was I went up there to go with my brother, and then I just stayed up there. And man, it was weird to see the sun till midnight. You know what I mean? It just dipped behind the mountain range, and then come back up. And then wintertime, it was always dark. It was sun would kind of just. It almost sometimes it didn't even look like it came up from behind the mountains. It just got real bright. In the morning time, no sun, but the sky so bright. That's what it looked like. And then it just went dark after that. I mean, for 6 months, after a while, man, that's just going to work on your brain.
Yeah.
Especially he said there was a guy down there that was working in a library or something like that, and he looked like he'd been there too long. They were telling him he's on the next boat out.
Somebody go save his ass. He looks haggard and not well. Not well. I'm thinking about it, and again, equating Antarctica to the moon, right? Imagine a beer run on the moon, right? Well, it's probably about the same as from Antarctica, right? That becomes the craziest part is some of the remote places in the world. We talked about, Point Nemo and some of that stuff where it's closer to the International Space Station than it is to any place on Earth that has humans walking around. So there's some really deep places on Earth that are remote AF, and of course going to sort of jog our mind in that regard and make us wonder about what's actually there. That's the point. And so it's okay to speculate a little bit, and it's okay to be weird, and welcome to it. As you know, been a good friend for a long time. What else you got, if anything else?
No, man, that's pretty much it. I just want to kind of throw out the three things that that I kind of look at in my perspective as because that whole I want to believe the whole Admiral Byrd, because some of the things I brought up, it's not like they thought the guy was crazy when he was he came out, and because the story was he after that North Pole thing, he went down to the president and told him what happened, because that's what the people that were from Inner Earth told him to go do. They weren't happy with the bombs going off. Now, if that story is true, you think this guy, people would think, man, you're fucking crazy. Oh, sorry. But I was for me, I wouldn't just give him another armada. All right, now go down to South Pole and tell me what's going on down there. You would really think about that. They would throw out of the military as a crazy person.
Yeah,
you lost your mind, buddy, because that's something weird that we never even heard of. What do you mean, some people from another species living inside the Earth and all that whole thing? That's just crazy. It makes more sense than the whole flat Earth theory or whatever. But for me, that's when they talk about when he was talking. Like I said, he's got interviews where he talks about this lush land that's beyond the ice. He says, so many miles you fly in, and that's where he's seen. Now, to me, it's if you're seeing that and you're going in the planet. It's hollow Earth. It's not some ice wall. We're trapped behind some wall, and we can't go outside the wall, and there's Argartha or whatever on the outside. I've heard that theory before, though, and it's not really a flat Earth theory. It was saying this is the Earth is actually larger than what they're claiming it to be. Now, I've been in the Navy, and I've been on different oceans and different seas around half this planet, right? And I've been on some places where it was just where you're in the middle of nowhere, man. It's like a desert too. Just like Antarctica, it's like a frozen desert though, and the planet, and you're on a boat in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the Pacific. That's like a desert too. It means nothing there, it's just nothing, just water, right? So I don't know, man. If this planet is bigger, that's and that one makes more sense than a flat Earth to me. That it's just a bigger theory, or bigger Earth theory, where if we do got more land masses, it's not like we're surrounded by an ice. It's just that we can't get to them because it's just too vast, to even fly or even take a boat in that direction, unless it was a military boat, like a Navy ship, that can run off. We can run off nuclear power. We don't need to have fuel. We just have nuclear power. And to get across something like that, that would be something else, man. Because I've seen some deep, dark water, and that was enough for me.
Yep, no thanks. Same here. Point. You can have Point Nemo. I don't want it. It can stay in my nightmares.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. But yeah, I just wanted to bring up the most one was about with Eric Hecker, right, on the Sean Ryan show. That one was pretty interesting. He was talking about this machine that we got, and it's a neutrino detector. That's what's interesting. And I didn't run across that story you were talking about with the neutrino coming from the deep below, which would make more sense. That's why I kind of bring in that the theory of these. It's got to be something, man, because there's and just like someone else talking earlier about pyramids there is pyramids on that inside Antarctica. I mean, because there's pyramids on every continent on this planet, so why wouldn't there be one there? And to actually see and what was really going on that continent before it got frozen like that, and how fast it froze. 'Cause to me, I'm looking at it like something happened where like it was a flash freeze and thick too. There's parts of that wall where on the north side where everybody thinks it's the ice wall, but it's on the north end side of it, right? And it's got like a shelf, and that's what they're looking at, where it looks like a big giant ice wall. But if it's that thick, and there was maps of showing this thing with no ice, what really happened? You know what I'm saying?
100%. I'm with you, man. It's a conundrum, and we'll continue thinking about it together. That's the point of this.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. You're the best. Tell Michelle we said hi. Thank you for staying up late. Thank you for the call. Happy whatever today is. Happy Father's Day. You're a father. See,
well, thank you, and same to you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And always a pleasure. Have a fantastic night. Thank you for the call, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, and everybody have a good night. All right, have a good one, Mike.
Thanks, you too. You too. That's Kelly in Colorado. Yeah, if we have an oldest friend on this show, if I was a troubled mind, Kelly is the second troubled mind. he called and has been calling back ever since, and been a good friend and willing to entertain all the ideas. And that's the point of this: is that what's real, and in the hyper reality version of the space we live in, it becomes a good question. Propaganda, conspiracy, the lies we're told. Yeah. Bailey, get in here. I'm inviting you to the thing. Sorry. If you got cold feet, that's fine. Or if you want to get in here, we're going to stay up late to hear Bailey. We haven't heard Bailey in a long time. And Bailey, by the way, shout out Bailey, has an experience with remote viewing Antarctica specifically. We've talked about this in the past, but Bailey was like, okay, so I've told this before, so I don't want to tell it again. But no, like we've got over 1,000 episodes, so you're buried in there somewhere a few times. So let's jump in and let's talk about this in 2025. If you're like, no, I'm good, that's cool. But I'm invited you to the thing. Pop on in here and love to hear your thoughts. But yeah, shout out Kelly. Say hi to Michelle for us. You guys are the best, as you know. Like I said, go do a thing with nobody listening, and then eventually have somebody call, and then becomes a good friend, and then a collaborator. This is what we do together, right? We become collaborators. Yeah. I'll wait for Bailey to reply in the chat to make sure we're on the same page here. If it's her internet or something else. But yeah. Anyway, like there's a lot going on with this. Like I said, some of the most remote places on Earth are, of course, going to be something that make us scratch our chin and go, what the hell is this? What is going on with us? And that's why, again, there's a space like Troubled Minds, because it's basically, it's not allowed, right? This is verboten speech. Like, oh, how dare you consider things outside of the paradigm of consensus reality? Stop it. Stop it. Of course we can. We're humans, right? We're humans dreaming about something, about the void, something beyond the void, whatever that looks like, whatever that feels like. Our intuition tells us a lot of things about it, I think. And that's why we do this. Yeah. What's up? Yeah. Never is too late. Hop on in, Bailey. We're staying up late for you. You tell me. But yeah, that's that. Also, let me plug the thing real quick. I know a few of you have bought the things. Like I said, I feel scummy doing a fundraiser. Okay. But that's why we're providing some value here instead. And I got these music tracks up, the ones we've been playing. If you've heard them on the show, that's what this is. It's and the proceeds will go to buy me a new computer. If you guys are watching on the stream, you'll probably recognize that I'm kind of ghosting a little bit now. Like it's not as crisp as it used to be because all the bloatware continues to bloat, and your computer continues to age. And a nice computer is thousands of dollars these days. I could get a $600 one or something, but this is what I'm running on now that I've been running on for years, and now it's dying. Anyway, if you want to help, I'd appreciate it very much. All of the songs that we played that you hear, not all of them, of course. I'll do the deep cuts too if you guys want additional music, but the Rogue Topas, the Troubled Minds Greatest Hits, there's a digital download there. It's only $15, 13 songs, and one song that's never been released, never been played anywhere on the internet. Promise you that, because it's only me and my bro. And the name of the band is Daring Stranger. It's AJ Dare, Michael Strange. Put the two together, that's the band you get. But it's never been heard on the interwebs, and it's on the track. It's a track on the thing here as a bonus track. But yeah, Rogue Topas. Shout out to Matt Sal for that. And by the way, that's not mine. I didn't steal that. If you guys want to use Rogue Topas as a AI art music thing, you're welcome to it. This is a collaborative effect. This is not me bogarting your ideas and turning them into profit or something. So I'm not that guy. Let's do this together, and let's consider these ideas together, and let's think about this together. Bailey, there we go. We got Bailey on the show. Bailey hello, good evening. How you doing, Bailey? Welcome back.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
Glad to have you. Welcome back. I would say Bailey in California is my guess.
Yeah, I'm in San Francisco.
Nice. Bailey in California. You're on Troubled Minds. A good friend for a long time. Welcome back. Care to lead us into your experience and tell us about Antarctica? What do you know? Go ahead.
Yeah, sure. So just adding on to the idea that there's something mysterious there. Not necessarily like a huge story, but I was remote viewing back in 2019 quite a bit. And it was going by like a meditation process, basically. And one day I was meditating and I didn't really have any agenda set. I didn't know what was going to happen. But I ended up getting pulled like to what I think was Antarctica. And I was kind of like navigating south, and there was like all this weird black fog in the background. And basically like, sorry, I'm forming my thoughts on it.
That's okay. If you need a minute, you let me know, and I can ramble on and buy you 30 seconds or so.
So, yeah, what was happening was like, as I came closer, I started seeing like a radar kind of signal kind of thing. And I kind of got this knowing or feeling that like something knew that I was watching and didn't like me being there. And as I get pulled into the mountains and across the mountains, I found a giant hole in Antarctica. And I was being pulled towards it. And I went down into the hole. And when I went down into the hole, and this is through a remote viewing, so it's not like I selectively found it. It was like pulling me there, if that makes sense. But when I went in there was like this caverns of walls that were like frozen, and there were like bodies of beings frozen into the walls. So it was like a cryo chamber full of like just a bunch of bodies frozen in the walls. And I saw like a military person who had somebody strapped on a table who was like, I'm going to call it thawing because I don't know what they would even call it. But they were like wheeling the table down a ramp past a bunch of these like beings frozen in the wall. And it was almost like the Matrix, like the battery in the Matrix, where there's all those people there, except for the wall was all mountainous wall, like caverns. And they were just frozen in ice in it. It was really weird looking. They were not human. They weren't like grays. They were almost like, I almost want to say like reptilian human hybrids. But I had to like, I kind of felt bad for them because I feel like they were not supposed to be thawed yet. Like they didn't want to be, and that it was a traumatic thing for them. If that makes sense.
Yeah, but they were actually being thawed though. Was it in the process of being thawed?
Yeah, like they were like the one that I saw was mostly thawed. Like it was like, you could tell it was in a traumatic situation where it had just been thawed, if that makes sense. Like It was on the table being taken down a ramp out of a room where I assume they were thawing them. And it was like strapped into this table and couldn't move.
That's creepy. Just as a quick aside, have you seen Fight the Future, X-Files, where they have, it's a very similar scene where they're these sort of frozen.
Seen what? Sorry?
It's called Fight the Future. It's the X-Files movie. It's like the first, or is it I think it's the first X-Files movie.
You know what? I've never seen any X-Files, including that.
Okay. This even more super wild. Put this on your watch list. X-Files Fight the Future.
Okay.
In the very end, the last 30 minutes is basically what you're describing. It's not the same, not exactly, but go watch that and you will creep the hell yourself out. Because I wonder, right? Like we've talked about X-Files being, maybe disclosure in some capacity. So just as an example, like, so as you said, sort of the Matrix capsules or bubbles, this is a very similar thing, except they are alien human hybrids buried beneath, I think it's the North Pole in this case, not the South Pole. But anyway, just as go check that out if you don't know about it, because holy crap. Go ahead, continue. Yes, and we're talking remote viewing Antarctica, not targeted, drawn to it. Go ahead, Bailey, what else you got?
Yeah, and I assume it was Antarctica, but for all I know, it could have been the North Pole. It's hard to kind of get a sense of direction when you're remote viewing, as you probably know. It's if you're not like intending the direction, it just kind of takes you somewhere. But so the weird thing is, after I kept seeing that radar blip, like someone was watching and didn't want me there, and then all of a sudden I saw like a vision of Libertas as a statue. So kind of like the Statue of Liberty, but not the Statue of Liberty. It's the statue. It's like Libertas. I think it's probably the same god the Statue of Liberty represents, but I'm not sure. But she had like this Roman like hat on, and it was like cut in the middle, so it like comes out almost like horns, but like deeper, if that makes sense. I don't even know how to explain it, but I tried to find this statue everywhere and I can't find it. So she had like, her face was like meteored out.
That's weird.
Which was interesting. And then my screen flashed back to the radar, and then I saw what I think was the UN building with a giant bomb go off behind it, and then all the lights went out. So I think it was an EMP, which is kind of interesting. But like the interesting thing about that is like I feel like it's saying that like all the politics are based around the like, this is just my vision or my feeling on it is based around the mysteries of Antarctica.
Yeah, I wonder. And I think the first time we talked about this, I asked you the question too regarding this, and I still am fascinated by the idea that you sensed a presence that knew you were there and wanted you out somehow. And it came to my mind then, it comes to my mind now. Is there a way to shield yourself from remote viewing? Is there sort of these psychic shields you can kind of do or whatever? And I think we talked about Faraday cages or whatever, but in your experience, have you been remote viewing since, by the way? I know you kind of took some time off there, but are you still doing that, or is that something you kind of dipped on?
Well, the interesting thing is after that happened, the day after I tried to go look again and see if I could figure out more, and the whole place was covered in that black smoke that was in the background the day before. And now whenever I try to remote view at all, I used to think I couldn't remote view anymore. It wasn't working, but it seems like I'm shrouded in that black smoke now. Like I can't see through it, but I can barely like see details. I don't know how to explain it really, but I think it's like some kind of technology to prevent people from like seeing these things. Like I think that's what the warning of the radar was. As odd as it sounds.
Well, I mean, once again, right? Like if this is true, I don't think. Look, all you have to do is believe that remote viewing is real in any capacity. And then I think the rest of it doesn't sound insane at all. Right? I know you're not calling yourself that. I'm not calling you that. I'm saying that you're in a safe space here, and we talk about these ideas exactly for that reason. Because if you can remote view, the question becomes, can you block somebody from remote viewing? Can you have like sort of protected circles where people can't enter? Can you black fog it as you're describing? And can you black fog your mind's eye, target you as an individual? It's an interesting thing to consider. Yeah. And so you haven't literally since you've never been able to, you sort of been taken out of the psychic space.
There's like sparingly little like incidents that occur, but they're not things that I like am directing where like I can kind of see through it. But in generally, no, I haven't. Like I've been trying to figure out what's going on so that I can. I have no clue why, but I was able to like directly after that for like a few months, but that kind of black fog thing kind of like followed me around and lingered with me until another event happened. They like just totally like stopped it. And we don't have to get into that event. I've already talked to it with a bunch of y'all, and it's not really related to Antarctica, but like at some point, I think it was all connected back to me looking at this Antarctica thing. And I don't know, I feel like whatever's in Antarctica is one of our biggest secrets. And it's like a worldwide secret, I think. It would have to be at this point, right?
I would think so. Absolutely. Which is, again, why I think, too, when me personally, when I think about conspiracy theory, that type of stuff, and the more sort of swirls around a particular place, of course, there's going to be disinformation, propaganda, all the stuff that kind of like leads you off the trail. So if you bring it up and say, well, what about the tunnels in Antarctica? Like, oh, conspiracy theory is crazy, and just write you off as part of it. It's definitely been a thing forever, the CIA and all this stuff. I mean, they're doing it now in real time on social media. So that type of stuff to me, again, is okay. So we found the resources for Admiral Byrd to go down there. That's documented. And by the way, if you haven't seen it, there's an actual like propaganda film that's pretty cool. It's in black and white. It's about the Admiral Byrd stuff. They're like, they got not Admiral, what are those big penguins? Those what are they called? King penguins or something.
The what?
There's these like massive ass penguins.
The king penguins, yeah.
Is that what they're called? Yeah, something
those are
like
in the
that.
North Pole though, right?
Is it? No, maybe you're right. I'll see if I can dig this up, because I was watching a thing where they were supposedly going down here and to the South Pole, and they have this short. It's like 10 minutes or 12 minutes or something, and it's like, oh, it's we're kind of going down here to check stuff out, and it's an expedition and whatever, and it's very, very, very like you would listen to in school, like very sanitized and emperor penguins. That's the term. Yeah. But
those ones, yeah.
So they've got them on the boat and stuff, and anyway, I'll see if I can find it, because I watched this years ago, and I was fascinated by it, not by like the content of it directly, but by sort of the editing of it and the message being sent out. And then of course, after the fact, as we know, all the conspiracy stuff that flows around Antarctica and whatnot. Just as an example of why I'm, a tinfoil hat when it comes to Antarctica, because I think it may be deeper than we ever dreamed. Yeah. Thanks for popping in here. What else you got? Go ahead.
Yeah, not much. I just think it's like one of the world's biggest secrets. It's been hidden from us, from people who've tried to travel there, from people who try to remote view there. I'm sure I'm not the only one. I think once we figure it out, we unlock a lot of secrets they don't want us knowing. So I'm super stoked to hear y'all talking about it, and I'm excited that you let me call in.
Stop it. You're always welcome. Old friend for a long time. Literally, we've been friends for years. You're welcome anytime. Jump in here and tell us whatever you think about this stuff. Like I said, it is not a troubled mind. It is troubled minds, and that's us together. Always a pleasure. Follow Bailey. Links in the description down below. Thanks to Hiker over there, and whoever else is sharing her link there. Please help our friends. Are you still doing the music stuff, or what projects are you working on that people can look forward to follow?
I still make music, but I haven't done it in a while. I'm probably going to be doing more of it soon. My friend's a poet, so I've been making like beats to their poetry that we're working on an album for. So that should be pretty fun.
Nice. Thank you, Sweets. Thank you, Hiker, for linking Bailey's link tree. Please go follow Bailey in all the places. Bailey, don't be a stranger. It's literally been over a year, right? It's been over a year. Come on.
It's been like 3 years.
Has it been that long? 3 years. The time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah.
You're welcome back.
I was always in the voice chats at night, but it's been a while.
It's been a while. Welcome back. It's another voice we haven't heard for a long time. So definitely, if you even if you're like short, like I know I drag you guys out sometimes, not to like gobble space here, but to give you time, to tell your ideas here. There's a lot going on, and it's 2025 and the AI systems and whatnot. And I know you have a ton of ideas with that stuff too. I'd love to hear them. You're welcome to pop in anytime. And thanks again. Great to hear your voice, and appreciate the call.
Nice talking to you again too. Great show.
Thank you very much. Fantastic call. That's Bailey.
Thank you.
Please follow Bailey. Link's going to be in the description down below. troubledminds.org/friends. Thank you, Sweets. Thank you, Hiker, for pinning the and sharing the Bailey link there, the link tree. But it's very simple. Very simple. You guys know the drill. See how my computer chugs when I change a tab and it just goes white and then I start blurring. I don't know if you guys see that on the stream, but I see it on OBS. Things are things are not the best the way they should be. But troubledminds.org/friends. Scroll down a little bit, and Bailey again has the actual benefit of being at the top of the alphabet as well. The fifth one down is Bailey. It's alphabetical. Please go follow Bailey in all the places. Check out the beats that Bailey makes and the music and all the rest of the stuff. And this is why we do this. This is why we do this, to talk to people about these amazing ideas. And thank you for sharing that. That's that. Again, if you guys are not on that list, remind me. I'm sorry. Somebody twist my arm. I promise you we'll get everybody on tomorrow, and that should be on that list, because there's a few still dangling on that. But it is an in club, not an out club. I promise you, we're not trying to turn this into, if you're not a troubled mind, you're not a troubled mind. No, everybody's a troubled mind. Everybody has an idea, and everybody can be part of this, and that's exactly the point. Thank you for the calls. Thank you for the ideas. Thanks for caring about what we talk about. And just one more reminder. I'll do like a little blurb here, but thank you that we've had several purchases already of this. The actual music that we played on the show for the last several, couple years here, there's a greatest hits package. $15, and that's because it's a digital download. There's no shipping involved. You can buy it. You can get the tracks right now. It'll send you a thing in just a couple minutes. I'm going to drop it in the link in the thing below. And like I said, just because like a lot of money for a nice computer just kind of rubs me the wrong way. I'm like, so if everybody can kick in $20 or $15 or whatever, then suddenly it makes it quite a bit more palatable for me to not have to answer to my wife for spending $3,000 on a computer. She's in the other room, but you know what I mean. Like there are pressures in the universe that are that are necessary. They're necessary, and so there you go. You got to justify some things somehow. Anyway, drop in the links and the things. I appreciate it. Thank you for again. If there's any problems with it and you can't get the downloads or whatever, we've tested it prior to and it seems fine. But if you have not or cannot, let me know and I'll set you up. So thank you for that. But like I said, I feel scummy doing it, but it's just a lot of money for a nice computer these days. So inflation and all this stuff, and anyway, I won't have to justify it anymore. But I do feel scummy. But also, shout out Dawn. Working a day job has its wonders, because then you don't have to beg for money every month. Thank God I don't have to do that. Anyway, that's that. Let's wrap this and let's get the hell out of here. You know what to do. You guys know the drill. If you want to help Troubled Minds, help us out by following all our friends for being amazing people. And one of the beautiful things that have come out of this whole conversation has been there's a ton of amazing people out there that need to be heard. That's it. Imagine starting something years ago with no expectation other than it would be amazing one day if we could do this. And here we are doing this. It's happened. We've manifested it. We've done this together. It's cool. But without Kelly and Joe and Fred and all the old timers, Robert, if I name people, I'm going to leave people out. But you guys know who you are. Been here for years. Bailey is one of them. Been friends for literally years. This doesn't manifest. It doesn't become a thing. So it's not me, it's us. So thank you for that. Help us out. troubledminds.org/friends. Go follow Bailey. Glad to have you back. Fantastic call. Go follow APOC. Glad to have you back. Fantastic call. All the rest of the amazing callers tonight. Most of them are on this list. If you're not, hit me up, send me an email. I'll add you to this list. It's first on my list tomorrow. I keep saying that, but I'm up to my neck in so many things. Spend a couple minutes, few minutes, 5 minutes, every other week, every week, and just go follow these amazing people in all the places. I would appreciate it very much. If you want to help us directly, spread the word. Let people know a conversation is happening where we're not going to tell you who to vote for. That's it, right? That's not what we do. Every other jerk out there is doing it. Every one of them. And you know what I mean. Jerks qualify. We don't do that here. It's never been a thing. It's been, let's open forum this, let's talk about it, let's respect each other and consider ideas that we may not even think are possible or true. And that's okay. That's a hyper reality manifested itself right here in the community. And that's that. Shout out to Quinn's Neural Pathways over there on Twitter X. Is this? If neutrinos are prophecy's echoes, is the ice running the code that scripts our physics? Ancient machines in the frost, myth humming under entropy. This is straight up my brain's playground. And this is an idea that came out of this that I didn't really talk about, but what about water memory? And these, what are they called? Tau neutrinos flowing through the space. Are they delving up water memory from billions of years ago? I don't know. That's a whole thing for a whole other time, but Quinn's Neural Pathways over there on Twitter X at Neural NavQ. Yep. You tell me. I don't really know. Appreciate all the support. Thanks again for staying up late with us. Thanks for sharing your ideas and not judging each other and being cool and chill in the open space we have here. If you want to help us directly, there's a call to action. It is exactly right here. Go to troubledfans.com, click on collections, shop, collections. Hold on. Click on shop. And I've been asked for this a lot. Shop, scroll down, featured launch products, scroll down to the bottom, and right there. There's a physical copy that ships to the lower 48. There's a digital copy you can get tonight, almost instant download. Please help. Troubled Minds, Rogue Tulpa's Greatest Hits Side A. As we finish, it goes exactly like this. This one is for APOC and Bailey. Glad to have both of you back. Great to hear your voices. Be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you for listening. From our troubled minds to yours, have a great night.